Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Darlington Raceway here on a sunny January afternoon as we get ready to bring you flag-to-flag coverage of the first race in the playoffs of the HTL Cup Series for this season. I'm Christina Ryan. Alongside me is Kevin Young and Christian Delgado hitting the buttons in the booth for us tonight. Carmen not able to make it tonight, not feeling well. We hope you feel better soon, Carmen. But for tonight's race, the first round of the playoffs, it's a brand new playoff format. It's going to be an exciting one, and with all the talk of open setups, Darlington being a driver's track, Kevin, I think this is going to be the biggest show of skill that we've seen in HTL to date.
It is. This track heavily favors the bold, favors the fortunate, and obviously with this talent diversity being very big in this series, a lot of drivers knowing how to wheel these things, it's going to play favorite to those drivers that can get up on that wheel and drive this thing around here quite quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Darlington, one of the most historic tracks in stock car racing and one of the most historic tracks in the NASCAR calendar. Been around for years and has been one of the few tracks that as it's evolved and as the safety is upgraded, it's continued to stay nice and how it was back in the day. So very much looking forward to getting things underway. We're just a few moments away from the start of tonight's event, but very quickly got to go over here. We have the playoff format, the 5-race round. It's a 2-round format. The bottom 8 out of the 16 are eliminated after those 5 rounds, but of course it's still win and you're in, Kevin. It's going to be extremely exciting. We're going to cut half the field. Here's how the playoffs are looking headed into tonight's race. The top 12, Mark Kissenweather with the first seed, Patrick Overstat, Bren Roberts, Zachary Meredith, Pacey Wygant, Tucker Sawyer, Josh Susie, Bailey Thompson in the top 8. They're currently all above the cut line. Again, everything reset with the win and you're in. Eli Sassett, Cody Pennell, Shad Sotsworth, Hunter Peach, Blake Henderson, Josh Arnold, Zachary Apperson, and Elias Flores have 5 races to find their way into the good. So it'll be very exciting to see, and this is the first round of that. So can't wait to get it underway.
Yep. Wish I could add more, but you pretty much just hit the nail on the head as we are just going to get ready and head on down to the track here shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Darlington's going to be a fun race tonight. I really love this racetrack. It is so much fun to drive on, and it is so much fun to watch a race on because this is one of those tracks, as we mentioned just a minute ago, you can watch these drivers move around. You can watch their hands shuffle around. They're going to be fighting these cars all day. The baby spoilers. It's going to be fun. So as they sit behind the pace car here, we'll see if we can't look at getting our starting lineup for tonight's race pulled up.
Actually, to interject, the race has technically already started, and we are under the first caution of the night, so
gotcha, coming out of you a little bit late.
Yeah, so just wanted to clarify, because obviously we're waiting to come to the broadcast here, but so
yeah,
a couple cars are already involved in the opening incident, including Angel Santiago, Cody Pennell were involved in an opening lap incident here. Santiago still on pit lane, but looks like only Cody Pennell is the one off the track right now. Everyone else is still continuing on, so
yeah, very so least, coming in.
Go ahead.
Yeah, coming in just a touch late here because of the last second change in the broadcast schedule, so apologies there, but we will bring you now flag-to-flag coverage of tonight's event. And as they sit behind the pace car, we see the number 24 machine leading the field along. That's Josh Susie, and alongside is the number 88 of Patrick Overstat. So both of them chasers, and it should be a fun one to watch. They just got the 1 to green, so we will resume racing here on ABN. As they head down the back straightaway, which is where the pit lane used to be. It's still down there. It used to be 2 pit lanes, much like Bristol Motor Speedway, but now they've consolidated it to 1. But you can still see where the old pit lane used to be. As they head down the Boeing backstretch. Such a historic track. You can see the cars lining up, and we'll get ready to take the first restart of the night. And it'll be Susie and Overstat on the call.
Yes, it will. Obviously, we'll see how the restart goes here. Obviously, do expect at least a couple of them out here as the drivers will be anxious. So we'll see how they can handle it out here. Don't want to spin the tires. Obviously, tires are still fresh and pretty warm after that restart. But you want to make sure you know what your car can do and make sure you start in the right gear, or else being caught napping on a crucial restart.
Yep, and into the restart zone they come. Green flag back out in the air, and we'll get back underway now and bring you our first green flag laps of the broadcast. Off into turn 1, a fantastic start by Susie. Already pulls about 3 or 4 car lengths over the rest of the field. So headed off into turn number 2 now. The 88 in close tow, and it's single file about 15 cars back.
Mm-hmm. One more thing to note as well, as we do see the drivers about to finish their first lap here. Josh Arnold, one of the playoff drivers, was involved in the opening incident. Did get some minor scratches, but it looks like that number 12 machine has got no major damage on it, so he will continue onward. But first lap in the books on the broadcast we've been covering here, and it will be Sosi leading the first opening 6 laps here, with Oberstadt following shortly behind here as they begin the gap, Meredith and Roberts.
Yeah, important to note throughout tonight's event, those bright blue, those teal numbers are indicating chase drivers, those that are in the playoff. Again, 16 of them in 5 rounds to get the top 8 to transfer. The bottom 8 are dropped. Those dark blue drivers are still racing for points, still racing for race victories, but are not in the chase for the playoffs as we start that part of our season tonight, the latter half of the season. So, Susie still leads over Overstat by about, I'd say, 1/10.5 as they head down the back stretch, and Overstat looking pretty racy right now. Patrick going to try and have a look on the inside. Nothing doing this time around, trying to fight that dirty air just a little bit, but Susie's going to hold stern for now.
You want to be how aggressive you can be here. Obviously, it's a long race. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So it's incentivized to kind of maybe play back, have your tires, but at the same time, that clean air can be beneficial to the car and make sure it handles well and even pull distance. So we'll see how Oberstadt takes this here. Obviously, you want to be the lead car, but it may be beneficial as well if the pace is continuing and they continue to pull away. Maybe just stick behind here and just save some stuff and allow Sosi to burn his stuff off. But right now, you can see that 88 just fishing around, trying to get clean air on that nose, and I think he's going to make a move here sooner rather than later if that opportunity opens.
Yeah, when it stays green, the laps can click off pretty quick here. This is an older track surface, so it's not as kind to those Goodyear Eagle tires. You can see Susie way up the racetrack. That's a normal line to run, but already flirting with the wall. Lots of drivers going to do that. That's where the Darlington stripe comes from, but Patrick Overstat practically pushing him down the back straightaway and off into turn 3. 2 stages in tonight's event, lap 60 and lap 120. However, no stage breaks, so it's going to be very important if this race stays green that these drivers keep their cars underneath them, because it could very well go flag to flag from here. Again, you can see some statistics.
Spin on the front stretch here. Sorry to cut you off. Number 60 cars lost it on their own of James. Actually, I'm just double checking the name here. Byron Jones. He's lost it on the front end. I thought he was going to take someone out as it looked like he was coming up the track. But single car incident, so we will stay green. But that's going to cost a lot of spots for the driver of that number 60 machine.
Yeah, that Michael Annette tribute machine goes for a spin, but a great job to keep it pointed. Doesn't look like he hit the wall. I think he's just gone for a 360. We do stay green. He'll get if he gets a caution, he'll get right back on the lead lap. But see some of the previous winners, some of the stats for tonight's race at the bottom left of your screen. Worth noting, only one previous race winner is in tonight's race. So that would be something to watch out for. Very much likely to get a first-time winner tonight. Shad Swatsworth being that only race winner. He's currently sitting in 8th place, and he tends to come alive during the playoffs, so definitely don't count him out to get his second Darlington trophy if he can hold on and make things happen. But still very, very early days for the Mobil 1 machine. Tucked right in there inside the top 10 quite nicely.
Note as well, we saw the pit window there as well, just being just under a stage distance, obviously with the stages being 60 and 120, looking at the fuel mileage being 54, 56 laps. It's going to be, especially with this first caution we had, it's going to make that range open to drivers probably be able to stretch it to get in that first stage without having to pit. So we'll see if any of these drivers, we'll see how hard they can push. Can they make it to the first stage and get those elusive stage points? Obviously, if we stay green. But if caution were to come out, that could flip things on its head. But a little bit of some information to keep an eye on. If some drivers are bold enough, it stays green, they can get some all-crucial stage points.
Yeah, and you can see Hunter Peach, another playoff driver, making a move there to move up, swap positions with the number 20 Yahoo machine. So Shad either struggling a touch with the handling, but I think he's probably just taking care of his stuff right this moment. He knows how to get it done around here, and he knows how to get it done in the playoffs. So here's Hunter Peach, though, the Texas native, making a nice charge forward and already trying to set his sights on Dale Markowski, the Ohio native, in that beautiful Greg Biffle tribute scheme. Lots of throwbacks at Darlington, as you tend to see, and a lot of love for Biff and Michael Annette, who, of course, we lost recently at the tail end of 2025. An absolute shame to lose both of them. Such great drivers, and some very lovely, very touching tribute schemes being ran by a lot of the field tonight in a throwback weekend. So.
Yep. A lot of these drivers, obviously, maybe not known Biff, may not know Annette, but definitely watched them, saw them. A lot of people had great stories of people that knew Biff and Annette personally in real life. So, like you said, it's a very shame that they sadly passed on, but At the very least, we see
Ooh,
contact
oh,
here
goodness.
between Markowski and the number 20 machine, Hunter Peach, and that's going to be
Oh.
even more contact. Peach double on the wall, double tap, and that will be our second caution of the night as he's coming down the road. But luckily, looks like no one else will pile in.
Yeah, great job by everybody to avoid that there. Some contact between Markowski and Peach sent Peach around. I think that was Dustin Hall that got just a piece of it in the number 1 machine to finish off Hunter Peach as he was continuing to lose control of that race car. And there you see that 60 machine that we were talking about a minute ago was going to get bailed out by that caution after having a spin down the front straightaway. So one driver's misfortune is another driver's benefit. We'll take a look at the replay here and see exactly what happened. Looks like they're both just kind of fighting for the same spot going into turn 3 there, Kevin. You can see where Dustin Hall gets just a piece and finishes off the 20. And then here, a great job by the rest of the field to scatter. This track very wide, but it's hard to get it down on the apron. So good job there, and a great job by Peach to just hold the brake and keep the car where it was stationary until the field got through. Could have been a lot worse, all things considered.
Yeah, it obviously could be a lot worse. Like you said, Peach could have easily been out of the race. That car does at least look a little bit fixable, as it is only minor front end damage. But we'll have to see how long the repair clock is for the number 20. But yeah, 2 drivers going for the spot there. And they kind of end up colliding, and sadly for one, they get a good amount of damage. The other one can continue on. So overall, though, again, could be a lot worse, as we see a couple cars electing to come down pit lane. But for majority of the field, they are electing to stay out. Top 12 upwards are continuing on here, so they like their odds to stay out before the first stage ends.
Yeah, I think that was certainly interesting to see so many cars stay out. This track tends to be aggressive on the tires. You see free pass car going by. With how aggressive the track is on the tires, I would think that we would have seen some more people come in and try and check the wear, or at least take some fuel and see what the tire wear was looking like. But clearly everybody's thinking that the handling's pretty good. And of course, Kev, with how long this race is, we already talked about, most of them probably not even running, I would say, even 90% speed of what they have in their race cars right now, and a lot of them setting up their cars for the long run. That's what's so exciting about this open setup change that we've had through the mid phase of the season. And having had the privilege to drive these cars since then quite a few times, it's really made these races completely come alive. With all these different setups, all these different strategies, excuse me, you're not really sure what your opponents have got until the green flag drops. And even then, you can be 3 or 4 stages into their race, and now all of a sudden someone just came alive because they're finally given everything they got on the race car. So it's always fun, and in the same respect, when you're sitting in the race car, you know you have more in the tank, and it's really fun to be able to pull that out. It's like these drivers have a whole new toolbox with these different setups. So a lot of comers and goers.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. You can set the card you like. You can try to make it a little bit more aggressive, a little more conservative, and play it into your strength. One quick note I want to point out before we get the green here. Hunter Peach still has not met the 10 count yet, as he is still on pit lane, currently 1 down at the moment. Looks like he may go 2 down. And at the moment, it's not the end of the world, because he can still get his lap back if we get cautions. But if he goes down another one, goes to 3 or 4, he will be battling Angel Santiago. But the 20 car will now leave their box. So, quick caution, Hunter Peach will be back on the lead lap. We'll see if that car still has any performance left at number 20.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to have that happen, but coming at the start of such a long race, you have an opportunity to get it all back. So, coming into this race 3 points below the cut line, that certainly isn't going to help anything, but Peach is a driver who can definitely rally through some adversity. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets himself back into this before the night's said and done. Green flag back in the air. Susie and Overstat lead us down once again, and I think that's the 17 Zach Meredith poking his nose in for 3rd place. It is in that Jones P&V machine. Buffalo Bills inspired race car, and the 83, another chase driver. All 4 of these drivers chase drivers, and Bren Roberts are going to end up the winner in that deal, and he'll take 3rd place away from Meredith as they head off into turn 3 again.
Saw in the first run there, Meredith, Overstat, and Roberts were slowly reeling in that top 2 connection of Patrick Overstat and Susie. So as the run goes on, we'll see if we can see those drivers really push back up and close it again. Restarts obviously equalize things, but keep an eye on the long run speed of 17, though. Looks like they hit the wall just a tiny bit there. But overall, though, obviously did not shave off any speed. But now, top 3 beginning to break away. A few cars getting racy, including that pink machine there a little bit further back of the 00, Pacey Wygent, who's got some of the freshest tires in this upper pack.
Yeah, Steven Overstat and Dustin Hall, 2 non-playoff drivers inside the top 10. They're fighting for that 5th spot right now. as well as we saw Pacey for just a moment. And yeah, you see the 25 there hits the wall. That was Blake Henderson, who just snapped the longest losing streak for between 2 wins than anybody in HTL. That now belongs to his teammate. Unfortunately, he's handed that off to the #1 machine of Dustin Hall. However, both of them running side by side and very strongly up into the top 10. So we'll have to see if either of them can get it done tonight. I have a suspicion that with the pace that these cars have had, of course, not to be too unbiased as I've been racing for this team, what I have been driving, but they've been bringing really fast race cars every single week since the open setup, and it really shows. Of course, Henderson winning at Bristol, Dustin Hall looking really quick, and don't count out Caitlin Height either. We know how good she is at running in HTL. She could still be a threat as well. Don't count out any of those non-playoff drivers, especially at Darlington, where it seems to favor a lot of wild card winners.
Especially if you're not in the playoffs, it stinks you're not going for the main championship, but you're still fighting for pride, fighting for wins, fighting for glory, showing teams on the grid that you deserve to stay on the grid or even get a better opportunity.
Ooh.
But you see right there, big move, 1 3M car attacking another as Henderson under attack here. As Caitlin's going to make the move and almost make it stick as Henderson hits the wall there again.
Oh, and
the
Dustin Hall goes
around.
around. Well, I guess Commentator's curse was he's going to keep it off the fence. He doesn't. He's going to collect quite a few cars out of turn 4. And this is going to be a significant crash to bring out the 3rd caution of the day. At least 5 or 6 cars scattered across. You see the 2 machine, Kissenweather, is involved, as is Eli Sasek. So several playoff drivers involved in that. It started with the 1 car getting sideways through 3 and 4 and spitting out, and then everybody kind of wrecking in sympathy. We'll have to have a couple looks at this and see. I'm curious if Dustin got off the racetrack and they wrecked behind in reaction, or if he came back up into traffic there to kind of spark that one off. But very unfortunate.
So we'll see the replay here, and you'll see right here just 2 drivers fighting hard. Hall gets a little bit loose, gets finished off, and then you're going to see as he comes up, drivers scatter, and then there goes the 2 into the wall. And flips
Was that Pacey Wygent? Yeah.
Yep, Pacey Wygent goes sideways there, and that causes the big track block that we
A
saw
lot.
just up the road.
A lot of playoff drivers getting wiped out in that, and think almost exclusively playoff drivers. It all started with that little checkup there, and it seems to me like when Dustin Hall checked up to not hit Caitlin Height and the 25 of Henderson, they kind of were on board here with the 2 of Mark Kissenweather. You're going to see this unfold. It seems like as soon as he got off the throttle, Kevin, it just spun the car around and just nowhere to go here, trying to find a hole, and it closed up a little too quickly, and Kissenweather takes some significant contact to the outside wall. But I guess the good news is if you're going to have a wreck and it's all playoff drivers, that's good news for all the drivers that are in the wreck, but even better news for the drivers that were ahead of it. So there's Kissenweather now.
Looking at just checking again here, yeah, like you said, a lot of playoff drivers. Shat Swatsworth got a little piece of it as well. Pacey Wygent, Eli Sasek, Mark Kissenweather. So 4 off the rip right there. And obviously Hunter Peach had trouble earlier, even Josh Arnold. So at the moment, it's not a good day to be a playoff driver, as 6 drivers have been involved in incidents in the first 3 cautions.
Yeah, we're running out of cars already. Of course, all of them still on the track, but running out of clean cars already. This is why it's so important that Mark Kissenweather enters this playoffs with a 19-point gap between him and the cut line. He put in an astounding first part of the season to get himself a bunch of playoff points and get everything built up to the point that this is extremely unfortunate for him, and he's going to have to spend most of the night repairing this car now. But when you have 20 points, that's about a half of a field in your back pocket. It doesn't immediately start screaming, you're not making the playoffs next round. So, and again, with a 5-round cutoff, you know, you have a little bit more time than you do in the NASCAR Cup Series, for example, to try and recover from that. And if he's just done what he's done the rest of the season and win again, you win and you're in. You don't got to worry about it. So
real fast as well, wave round did go to Hunter Peach, so he is now back on the lead lap. And when one driver has playoff misery, the other one has at least some silver lining. So Hunter Peach back on the lead lap, giving us at the moment 29 cars on the lead lap, with Hall, Wygent both going 1 down under this current caution, and Santiago still being 3 down from a previous incident.
See them doubling up as well. Thank you, Kevin. And we're going to get the green flag once more. You can see the 24 and 88 as it has been for the entire race now. Overstat in the 88 and Josh Susi in the 24. Going to lead us down once again. I would keep an eye on the 17 of Zach Meredith and the 83 of Brun Roberts, though. They had a little scrap on the last restart. I think they're getting ready for round 2 of that as the leaders up front to fight for the lead and waiting for the flag to come out here. There it is, green flag back in the air. We're racing once again in Darlington. And again, a great start there with a 24 of Susie, and Meredith again with another great launch, and this time he's on the outside lane. He might be able to take that momentum and get around the 88 of Patrick Overstat. Overstat coming into this race 13 points clear of the cut line, so besides Mark Kissenweather, him and Bren Roberts were the two furthest ahead of the cut line, and trying to continue to build upon that there. Side by side across the line, Susie and then Meredith will take second place over Patrick Overstat. Bren Roberts still slots into fourth, and Caitlin Height in that 87 3M machine has slotted her way into fifth place after being right around all that calamity that brought out the last caution.
I think that restart does show one thing. The high side is where you want to be on a restart. As we saw Sosi get a great launch, but even then, Meredith had the first restart on the inside line of the previous caution. He ended up getting trounced back position. This time, now being on the high side, he's able to clear Oberstad. So maybe some food for thought as we get later on into this race. Obviously, don't control your position further back. Maybe you can get a little bit of a good launch if you're on that outside line second row rather than being inside line first row. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as this session goes on.
And already, even with the little string of cautions we've had here, we're 30 laps in, 29 laps in, starting our 30th lap, which means we're about halfway through that first stage. And the thing to note here, the fuel window was 54 to 56 laps, but with all these cautions, they can safely make it, especially if they pit. And even some of these drivers that haven't pit, if they're trying to save fuel under the caution, they should be able to be close to making it with that string of cautions we've had. So they might not need to worry too much about a green flag pit stop on this particular occasion. Although again, with no stage breaks, they will shortly need to be coming in to pit after that. So we'll see. But so far, it seems like things have started to fan out a little bit. I'm not sure if the drivers are starting to struggle with handling a bit, or if this is tire wear, or if it was just some of the pre-race jitters. But again, with the open setups, they can come in and make adjustments to their cars as well. So as the night goes on, as the sun goes down, the track temperatures change. We're going to see a lot of different handling, and the caution's out once again. As Bren Roberts and the 88 were side by side, that is 3 cars piled up. I would say that's Craig Biffle, Martin Truex Jr., but that would be throwback machines. Try and get some tabs on you very quickly. That is the 23 machine.
Santiago, I think, in the 16, Richard Odie in the 78, and the 23 machine involved, along with Hunter P just slowing up. So 4 cars in that wreck. We'll see exactly what happened.
Well, this is around Lily Pelletier Sharp. She's going to get high up on the racetrack, get into the fence. I don't know if this has anything to do with her, though. That's a pretty mundane contact to the wall. I think this might have happened.
She did hit the wall earlier. That's why I was keeping an eye on a previous lap ago. She did get into the wall. I think this is what we're going to see here. Unrelated to the incident,
Okay.
This is what I saw.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, she got into the wall and lost some momentum. Shad Swatsworth gets into her again. She gets in the wall. Both the Ascent drivers tag her.
But this doesn't bring up the caution, though, because she keeps going.
Here come the cars that do wreck, so I wonder if that was her still slow and they were reacting, but this is... No, I don't think it would be. It'd be a little further back now. We'll see at the turn 1. It's not really showing up on the timing and scoring, but we'll try and get a look at it if we can. The old-fashioned way. Still, I think... Yeah, here's the 78 machine. Green flag still out at this point.
Yeah, Odie's going to come on into this scene, so I don't even think he's the cause. I think maybe the 16 maybe we should be focusing on.
Yeah, I remember the 16 was one of the first cars around. You can see it's starting to get hairy up here, though. I think another car got into the fence. So now we're headed into turn 1. I believe this is where the wreck will happen.
Yeah, Hunter Peach in the 16.
Yep,
check up. Oh, okay. The 23 looks like they got loose.
Around.
And that just caused this big checkup we were watching.
Yeah, Odie
James
didn't get
Wright.
Yeah, thank you for that. James Wright, the first car around. It didn't look to me like Odie got a ton of damage out of that, actually. He kind of just bounced in. It looks like contact with the 71, maybe?
Yeah, it looks like they ran up the road and just kind of doored the 71. That caused the spin.
Yeah, very low down the racetrack. Lost the handling. 71 fences themselves to try and get away from it, but unfortunately the 23 coming up the track. It funnels up so much into turn 1 there, Kevin. It's really hard. Especially if you're having an issue with the car, because we saw how low the 23 was and how shuffled around they were headed into 3 and 4. I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't related to something going on out of 4, but nevertheless, that's what brings out our 4th caution on the night.
Looking at the front here, obviously top 9 have still yet to pit here. Swatsworth, Flores, Blowers, 10th, 11th, 12th, all came in 4 tires on lap 16 when they were involved in that previous incident in the last caution. Other than that, though, yeah, I'm still shocked the top 8 and 9 have not elected to blink yet. I guess they feel good with their handling and want to make sure they save an extra set so they can have a bit of a longer run if we see a bigger green flag run here. So
I
playing
think
it
that's
nice,
what it
rolling
is.
it.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. They probably are trying to hang on again. This is one of the longer races on the schedule. I think it's the longest by distance on the or by time we're expecting on the schedule. So the only other one that comes close is the VFL 300 that we ran in Charlotte. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I would say they're probably trying to hang on to a tire set. But the other thing, I don't think they want to be back in the field because we've seen how many cautions we've just had in quick succession. They don't want to tear the cars up, and they're not getting passed too quickly by these cars with fresher tires, at least not as quickly as we would have expected them to. So maybe that combined with the fact that they've been taking it easy in these opening stints, there's been a lot of opportunities to cool the good years off. The tire wear just not quite as bad at this very moment as we perhaps were expecting. But pace car off once again. This time it's Susie and Meredith that'll lead us down. First time Meredith's been on the front row. And we will see how that fares on the inside line, though. Not necessarily the preferred line. And Susie's been getting great restarts all night. He gets another one. And it's going to take Caitlin Height with him. Already single file, almost 10 cars back. Yeah, Susie just took off, took Caitlin Height with, and left Meredith in the dust. So Meredith falls back to third once again on that inside line. Going to try and have a look to the inside of Katie, but Katie says nothing doing. Going to hold the outside line and get some momentum and try and carry that 61 machine down the front stretch. Again, I think the scoring timer with all different numbers, I think that is Caitlin Height in the second position that you're seeing in the 61
You are correct.
car. So ignore the 87 on the scoring tower. It's the 61 car tonight. So, but yeah, just ahead of Meredith with Roberts and Thompson now. We haven't talked about Bailey Thompson tonight. She got the win in Chicago to punch her ticket to the playoffs. She now sits in 5th and off to a great start in the Aldi machine. She's been gaining a lot more speed every single week. So really finding her stride in the most recent months and putting in a great effort right now. Fastest car on that team currently for Tombstone.
And I think that also helps with the open setups as well, because we used to have a fixed setup in this league, you have to try to drive for what the setup maker made, but now you can tune these cars to what you feel comfortable with, and you can really get the performance you need out of it. So obviously Bailey making those good steps forward here, now having really the car that they feel comfortable driving under. But you can see right here, as we're watching this track here, it's getting a bit stacked up here, and I think this is going to the point of why you thought drivers didn't want to go back there, because you give drivers fresh tires, and they feel more invincible and aggressive. And when you take that with a mix of drivers on older tires and more worn, damaged machines, you're just asking for a bit of trouble. But right now, still keeping it relatively straight and forward. But you can just see it's getting pretty racy for these little further spots back just outside the top 10.
Yeah, it's getting to get gaggled up a bit. This is where I'd start sweating a little bit as a race car driver if I'm in the midst of this or just behind it. You know, you can't really back out, pull out of the way, but you're not liking what you see out of the windshield. This is around Byron Jones, Elias Flores area. There you see Byron Jones, who was backwards not too long ago. Elias Flores up against the fence right now, and it's so easy, Kevin, to smack the wall, and you can get away with a little bit of a kiss against it here and there, but if you get up in there too deep, suddenly you're 10, 20 miles an hour slower than the rest of the field, and that's why we've been seeing so many stack-ups earlier, especially in this part of the field. A lot of these drivers were just involved in a wreck not too long ago. Hunter Peach, the 88 machine, who made a pit stop of Patrick Overstat, was up in the front of the field earlier. So yeah, this is good racing, but definitely the hairy stuff there. You can see just how small that gap was that Hunter Peach had to shoot on the outside line, but look at the momentum it gives him and how much of a run he gets for hitting that line. He gets rewarded handsomely for putting that number 20 machine exactly where he needs to go. And oh, by the way, he was in the pit lane and a lap down not too long ago. He's back on the lead lap and is making good progress to get back into contention.
It shows you why he is currently spinning around 88 around. I was just about thinking the thought that some drivers love to live for that fight and live for that field to race in the middle of the pack, but it looks like what we are kind of hypothesizing about why you don't want to get back there with the squirrels. We see that right now with Overstat as he ends up going around here, whether it was due to his own mistake or getting involved in something else. We'll find out shortly. But Overstat going for a bit of a spin here as we take a look at the link.
Yeah, and some non-negligible damage as well on that machine. Coming down the front straightaway here, this is I think a lap before it happens, so we'll watch it all unfold here. He's racing with the 33 machine. He's about to catch the Byron Jones. That's Mark Kissenweather up ahead of him as well. So Kissenweather makes a move to the inside of the 60 of Byron Jones. Jones kind of backs out of it. Remember, again, it was backwards earlier under green flag conditions. Probably not trying to race too hard, but overstat on these fresh tires, trying to follow Kissenweather through. They come out of turn 4 and, oh, just lost it out of turn 4. Jones gets a little loose, tries to save it, can't, and oh my goodness, that's a huge impact. I believe that was the 33 machine that goes flying down the infield.
Yes, Ross Baxter.
Yeah, Ross Baxter does a nice job to, I think was it Baxter or was it Dale Markowski?
No, Darkowski's doing the Biffle throwback. The Markowski's,
right.
Yeah, Baxter's in that yellow and red machine.
Correct. Baxter did a nice job to get it spun around and kept on the apron and didn't go flying back into traffic, but as Kissenweather, as Patrick Overstat slid down the racetrack, not a whole lot of room to avoid, and like I said, some pretty significant damage on that 88, but we saw similar on Hunter Peach's number 20 machine, and they got that thing fixed up, but I am worried about that contact to Ross Baxter because that could really tear a toe link off and make the handling of the suspension really bad, and that's the most sensitive part about the car tonight is that the aero is very important, but the chassis balance is going to be extremely critical to keeping a pace in tonight's race.
Keeping an eye on pit lane, yeah, you can see some heavy damage. Doesn't look like a toe link is broken. Most of the car seems to be in one piece. We'll see how he escapes outward here. Looking to see if anyone else is notably down pit lane at this moment. It still looks like majority of the top six have stayed out, but it looks like Henderson has finally decided to come on in. He's one of the notable names to come in under this stop window. But as you see up front, it's still the Joshua Sosi show with Caitlin Height, Meredith, Roberts, and Thompson. Your top 5. Obviously, we know Sosi's going to go outside lane here. Question is, we've seen no driver really been able to put up a fight on that lower lane. See if that's a similar case here, if that outside car in the second lane can zoom on by.
Yeah, absolutely. Susi seems to be the one to beat, much like we've seen for a lot of the season. He seems to have the fastest car. It's just a matter of trying to close out the races that he's had a hard time with, but could try and really make a statement here. He's led just about all the laps so far of the 43 we have ran. But Katie Height looks very strong right now in that 61 machine, so look out for her to try and make an advantage, although she's on the non-preferred line. Zach Meredith also down there. I'd watch to see what Bren Roberts can do on the top. It'd be the first time in a while that Bren's been up there, and he's very feisty himself. So we saw him battling with Meredith for that third position early on in the going. They'll have another repeat of that and see who comes out on top. But Susi on the top lane side by side with Katie Height, who has had a part-time season, of course, but we know Katie is a threat to win any race that she enters. So keep an eye out for that on the restart. This is going to be spicy. These two have a lot of history racing alongside each other in HTL, and it'll be fun to see if the fireworks fly this time.
Real fast, just do some quick cleanup here. Pacey Wygant was able to get the lucky dog that time, by the way, around. He is now on the lead lap, only giving us Lily Peltier Sharp 1 down and Angel Santiago just getting pit 3 down. Every car in that incident was able to continue on and stay on the lead lap.
Well, here we go, side by side, coming out of turn number 4. And down into the restart zone once again. Susi, who has been having electric restarts, going to probably fire off another one there, although a little bit of wheel spin there, it looked like, from the number 24. We had one car spinning in the back by the pit entrance. We stayed green, though. It was far off and away from where the rest of the field was, but we'll see if we can't figure out who that was shortly. But Susi off to another great start, and Katie Height holds on to second place on that inside line. And now we got another car sideways in the middle and coming back into traffic. Can he hold on to it? He does, but that's going to be Elias Flores spinning in sympathy. We still stay green as they all shuffle around the back stretch. Good save by Elias Flores to not go all the way around, but as they all tried to scatter, that slow car on the bottom, not sure exactly who that was. It might have been the Bass Pro Shops machine that was slow down there, but it started with a wiggle from him, and then everybody scattered. But we stayed green, and that will absolutely spread the field out now, Kevin, and we might get a little green flag run-in.
See here, looking back real fast, it was the 38 of Ross Baxter was around near the pit lane as he had to check up, almost ran into Byron Jones, and ended up getting a slight hook from James Wright. So that is what caused the slow car we saw coming to the restart there, but caution was called. But up front, we'll see now with some spacing. Spacing is a good thing, especially with this track being so narrow. You can kind of run your own groove and get into your own rhythm. But even now, you can see just in right now 5th position, Bobby Blowers, I believe that is correct, getting a little bit of pressure there on the back of Zach Meredith. So using this opportunity and he having the freshest tires pitted on a 30-lap stint right now, he could use those slight advantage to really maybe try to put the pressure on. So even though there is spacing, tell that to a driver with an opportunity to get a spot here, and they will not back down no matter what opportunity they're given.
Yeah, the Joe Show Racing driver, one of the drivers we noted as a dark horse pick, could absolutely play spoiler, not a playoff driver, but tends to get on very well around this track. Definitely a fantastic driver. Doesn't matter what you put him in. He's one of those drivers that'll drive just about anything if he can get his hands on it, and proving here that the driver's track paying off a bit. Obviously, you said a little bit of tire strategy playing in to his hands, but we haven't really seen a ton of people take good advantage of those fresh tires. Bobby Blowers trying to do that right now and putting the moves on Zach Meredith. Very tight racing there, as is in front with Caitlin Height and I believe Brent Roberts there over that 2nd position. So some great battles going on here inside the top 5.
You're correct. Both drivers cannot finish the job here. Roberts will kind of survive it. Meanwhile, Bobby Blowers will be under pressure from that 54 of David Smeal Jr. and those Domino's machine. But right there, the finished pass there, Height will hang on. Roberts, I would also consider myself a dark horse, as I've seen him run countless times at Darlington other next-gen series, and he always seems to bring the speed at these tracks, so we'll have to keep an eye on him as well, as he's definitely looking to go fast here tonight. Also as well, Hunter Peach, you can see in that Yahoo machine from having some heavy front-end damage, now firmly inside the top 10, currently sitting in 8th as he will get around Chad Swatsworth. So he is also beginning to climb and showing that even if he gets some minor damage, it can be buffed out and you can continue onwards. He is a lot better off right now than Dale Markowski is.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, we're within 10 laps now to the end of the first stage. No stage breaks, but points awarded to the top 10, and look at all the teal that is sitting in that top 10 right now. This is going to be critical for a lot of these drivers for their playoff contention hopes to continue on. Kissenweather and Swatsworth fighting for that final couple spots right now. You see Kissenweather in the 2 machine getting around Swatsworth. Swatsworth falls to 10th, so Shad trying to hang on to that last position and get a ever so valuable stage point. We've seen playoff brackets made or broken with just 1 playoff point in difference there, so very important to start, especially in a 5-round bracket like this. It's going to be very critical. But you can see here, Peach still on the move, gets around Eli Sasek now, going to put another spot. Kissenweather going to try and follow through. David Smeal Jr., the next target for that number 20 Yahoo machine. Great run so far. Great recovery.
Again, you're never truly out until you're truly out. Looking around here as well, Blowers just got around Meredith, but we're focusing a little bit further back here. We see Kissenweather touch the wall a little bit, as Eli Sasek is just currently ahead. This is 8th and 9th on the track. Stage Point's about to finish out their last spot. I believe it is top 10. Blake Henderson hanging on to it for the very minute right now, but you see behind him.
Oh, contact.
Contact right there, as Sasek wasn't going away without a fight.
Yeah, it looked like Sasek just brushed the wall a little bit, bounced off of Kissenweather. No harm, no foul, but definitely the handling starting to go away on that Ascent racing machine. We've seen this a lot out of the Ascent cars. They tend to have really good short run pace, but as the races go on, the runs go on, the drivers start to struggle a bit more with the handling. They're very lethal on a green-white checkered or on a short 5-lap to go restart, but if we get these long runs, they seem to have a little bit of issues with the handling, at least from when I've been in the race car. That's what I've picked up on. But of course, still very, very quick nonetheless inside the top 10, but Sasek going to try to hold on. Swatsworth fell out of the top 10 to teammate Blake Henderson, so Henderson trying to grab an ever so valuable stage point. And again, we're yapping about this so much because of the playoff situation. You see Dustin Hall in 11th now, also ahead of Swatsworth, to put some cushion between him and Henderson. But at the line, there'll be 5 to go until the end of stage number 1, and we will stay green, but the top 10 are awarded stage points. Right now, Susie still leads over Katie Height by almost a second, and then it's a little bit of a cushion back to Bren Roberts as well.
Just see one car coming down pit lane, but it looks like, I believe it was a lap down machine, so nothing of note. But Sosi just pulling away at the moment. Currently now over second clear of second place in Height, and you can just see he's dialed in, he's locked in, as he's led every lap so far here tonight. Obviously, that could change when pit stop windows open, as he's obviously off sequence some other cars, but he is well on the pace to flex his muscle. Just further back there, Pete just got around Meredith, so put him now into the top 5 as he is climbing very aggressively here, as he's now trying to set his sights on here to get to 4th and 3rd, and take advantage of these fresher tires he has.
Yeah, well, I mean, when he wrecked, he had to get some fresh tires as well, and I'm curious if he's trying to scramble and get as many points as he can in case he ends up in calamity again later in this race. But if it stays green, with how close these guys are on the fuel mileage, Peach can safely make it another 10 laps or so past that stage uh, separation, come down pit road under green if he needs to, change 4 tires, get back out there, and set himself up really nicely if it does end up going green into stage 2. So granted, that's a risk with this track. It's only a little over a mile long. It's 1.3 miles, so you will go a lap down if you make a pit stop, and then you don't want to be caught on the wave by. But if he's feeling a little bold, feeling a little risky, I think he could absolutely pull that off. But that 20 car has plenty of pace in it yet. Coming to the line now for what will be, I think they've already crossed the line, so 3 to go. No, actually 2 to go to the end of the stage. So about to award those points. It'll be Susie, Roberts, Peach, Kissenweather, Meredith, Sasek, and Henderson all scoring the lion's share this time around if they stay how they are. So going to be interesting to see if it does remain that way. But looking at the leaderboard here, Swadsworth, Thompson, and Sawyer all falling back a little bit. I don't think they're going to get to the back bumper of Henderson. I think they're going to line up with these drivers to end stage 1.
Henderson's hanging on for dear life here, even though he does have some decent tires under him. Same stint level as Dustin Hall, but he's struggling at the moment, it seems, to really keep that thing ahead. Other than that, I do want to note as well, looking at some of the drivers, obviously Sosi, Height, Roberts have yet to pit. If we get into a lace rate situation, obviously we assume tires are important, but we're looking at this right now. I think 2 tires could be a call. If we get a late caution, maybe a green white checkered run, you may not have to take 4, as some drivers are really making these old tires really work to their advantage. Obviously, they haven't run full runs. We had a lot of start and stops, but it's still noteworthy that these fresher tires really aren't closing as much as you assume they would with an old surface like this.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised as well, but again, we did have a lot of cautions, so not these 60 laps that we've ran, of course, with Susie winning the stage. Henderson does hold on, and now gets passed by Dustin Hall. Those two are teammates, so I imagine Dustin was waiting for Henderson to cross the line and get that stage point, because Dustin Hall, not in the playoffs, was going to give his teammate an opportunity to score that point. He now moves on. We also saw their other teammate of Bailey Thompson pulling down into the pit lane to make a green flag pit stop, I do believe, is what was going on there. But yes, to your point, yeah, the tire's not wearing out quite like how we thought we would, but again, we had a lot of time behind the pace car, so we've had maybe 30 or 40 laps of green flag racing in this stint to keep it in mind, and that's also why these drivers were able to make it without a pit stop to the end of the stage, some of those leaders. But I imagine we'll see some pit stops here shortly as we ride on board looking back at Hunter Peach, and I would not be surprised if Peach inherits the lead for a little bit as a result. He's looking incredibly quick on the fresh tires, and he's been one of the few drivers, him and Kissenweather both, it must be stated, to make the most of their fresh Goodyear Eagles. But oh, you can see the correction there from Peach. He's definitely not taking it easy in that number 20 machine, having to stay on top of it. So stage 1 in the books. We stay green, of course, no stage breaks anymore, and our next target on that lap is going to be a lap 120 for those drivers in teal.
Worth noting, Smeal just came in, Stefan Oberstadt in the 3, and Bailey Thompson are the 3 majors that come in right now at the moment. As they will come in, we also see a pink and white machine just pop in as well. I think that may be Pacey. I'll have to double check. But yep, window's officially open. Actually, I think it's Zachary Apperson? Yeah, but Zachary Apperson, so he is in as well, coming in as well. So, still no major sign yet for our top runners, but Smeal being one of the top 10 that came in. This will be one of the first major ones to blink, try to get that undercut, make some extra time, and now we see Zachary Meredith in the 17, I think Eli Sasek as well, so pit stop window truly open now that stage 1 has officially ended.
Yeah, no surprise. These drivers couldn't stay out a whole lot longer. They saved plenty of fuel behind the pace car to get to the stage break, but they couldn't have gone a whole lot further. But I will say they should be able to make it to the end of stage 2 from here if it does go green to the end. So I think they had saved enough. If they might have to save another lap or so.
Sorry to cut you off. Top 3 coming in with the 24 now pitting, inherent lead to Hunter Peach, Caitlin Height in as well, and Bren Roberts all in. So now that is officially syncophied. The changing of the guard, Hunter Peach now to our point.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be pretty important for them to get in and off of pit road quickly and safely. It's a very, very difficult pit road to get onto, one of the hardest on the entire calendar to get the car wound up to a crawling 45 miles an hour. Come all the way down the box, find your box, it's quite hard to find. Put 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on it and Sunoco race fuel. So here's the number 96 that's running a bit slow at the moment, but now looking back at our race leader currently of Hunter Peach, he was running about 4th place before the pit stop cycle, but again, he had those fresh tires and he gets very sideways out of turn number 2, but here's your race leaders at the time of the pit stop. It seems like they all got in and out of pit lane pretty safely. I don't see any penalties. Obviously, all 3 of them roll off safe. So there is Susie, who will be the leader once everything cycles out. However, with how topsy-turvy the order has been and how spread out this pit window is with that string of cautions we've had, it might be a while before we see him back in the lead. So it's Peach from Kissenweather, from Blowers, from Hall, and Henderson to round out the top 5 as they stand. But all the drivers you see in the top 10 still have a pit stop to come.
Yep, looking at it right now, looking at stint times, just seeing how long they've been on the run here. Hunter Peach obviously came in the earliest of the top 3. Blowers came in on, as currently on a 51-lap stint, if I'm reading this right. Kissenweather on a 43-lap stint. So looking at Peach, if I'm reading this right, it's 30 more laps before he comes in. That's going to get him around 99 to 120 laps. It could put him in a spot, though, where he gets stage 1 advantage, but if it stays green, he may be in a spot where he's going to have to try to really drive his tail off to get stage 2 points here if he so chooses to run the strategy. So I do wonder if he's going to run it to completion and maybe hope for a caution, or if he tries to maybe split it in half or try something different, because obviously stage points aren't be-all, end-all. You definitely don't want to leave some on the table going long if you can help it.
Well, he got to keep stage points on the first stage, so he's got that to fall back on. But it's interesting. He has such a big window. I'd be surprised if he runs it empty, Kevin. He sure could, but like you said, it doesn't give him a whole lot of time to claw his way through the field again. He has tires that are in a decent window still. He's probably got another 5 laps of good running in those Goodyear Eagles before they start to get really crying for help, and he's well within the window to make it to stage 2 at this point. So he's off sequence, but I think he's probably trying to run the calculations in his head and figure out if it's in a good way or a bad way of being off sequence. Trying to do that math while driving this car around this track is not very easy to do. And we've seen with how much he's wheeling the car, how much he needs to be on top of the physical portion of it. But it's something he's going to have to be thinking about. I don't think he'll run the full distance. He sure could as he puts Baxter another lap down. But I think realistically a caution might bail him out before he has to make that hard decision. But he's currently 2 seconds clear of Kissenweather, not quite 2 seconds, but close to it. And they're on a similar strategy, so I imagine if one of them blinks, the other one might come in as well too, especially because they're both playoff drivers.
You would think that, but looking at Kissenweather, he came in at 40. He's got at 47 laps on his tires, and Bobby Blowers on 55. So there is enough of a difference that Peach still doesn't fully have to blink to match the other 2 drivers, as he's going to have that advantage here. But even then, with the advantage, you can see times kind of fluctuating in and out. So yeah, we'll see how Peach plays it. Does he want to cover? Does he want to play to his own beat, to his own drum, I should say? But yeah, right now we see Kissenweather hanging tough. About 3 seconds clear of Bobby Blowers, but 2 seconds back of Hunter Peach, as he's just kind of in his own little island right now.
Yeah, right now these guys are all kind of in the great unknown because they're quite a bit off sequence from the majority of the field. But like you said, they're running by themselves. They're not losing a ton of time. They are losing time, of course, because the leaders that pit are going to have much fresher tires. But this is where we kind of see how much that tire difference is really going to matter, because we already saw that they weren't as big of a gap between that as we were expecting, at least not in the daytime. You can see, of course, the sun starting to go down there. You see a great shot of it behind the hospitality building in turn 3. We are getting the lights on very shortly, and that is going to change everything as well. These drivers are going to have to keep up on the handling. The track's going to cool off, and there you see the lights just turned on. So that's something to keep in mind with great attention as well, because that is going to change how the track feels and how these cars are going to handle.
I think another factor comes in as well. Drivers, like, we look at the field right now at the moment, Olivia Pereira on down are currently 1 down to our current leader, and some of those drivers that are 1 down are on the similar strategy to Hunter Peach, so they don't even have the tire advantage. Then obviously we look at Sosi currently sitting in 19th, Caitlin High 20th right now, currently 1 down as they're trying to run down the leader. But as I was kind of alluding to earlier, drivers with fresh tires and using that advantage are going to be more aggressive to try to get around cars, and we saw that with Overstat. We saw that some other drivers as well, being that too aggressive, causing a caution, could end up hurting half the field, as they would have to take the wave around and really give the advantage to the cars that are going to go long here.
Yeah, this is one of those parts of the Southern 500 that you just love to watch, either in the sim or in real life. It's just this middle phase of the race. All these strategies are unfolding. That's why I
Oh,
love that
sorry,
we don't have.
David
Oh,
Smeal,
yeah,
heavy
no.
damage on the left front as we stay green, but look at that left front here. It is basically locked up and destroyed. And he was
Yeah,
a
well,
top 5 car.
we had a car that was sideways on the front stretch as well, sitting stationary. We stayed green. That might, I don't want to call it because it was a pretty significant incident, but it might have been the 99 of Elias Flores, and that would make sense because those two were not too
You
far
are
away from each other
correct.
earlier. So yeah,
You are
these
correct.
two have clearly gotten together. I wonder if we could pull a replay and see what happened. But Smeal trying to get that thing into pit lane, and a beautiful race car tore all up now. And again, no fast repairs in this race. So see if we can't have a look. It seems like we might have pulled it. Here's Elias Flores out of turn number, I think that's turn number 2, headed down the back stretch. And there is Smeal quite a bit behind. So there's about 4 or 5 car lengths between them. I wonder if Flores is going to lose it and it's nowhere to go for the 54. Gets on that seam out of turn 4. Just gets a little bit loose. Well, it didn't happen here yet. Maybe it's a lap ahead. We'll see.
I know, looking back from my own perspective here, it is the 54 will catch 99, so they will come together coming out of 4. Just
Well, you can see already, and just in this replay, how rapidly the 54 is gaining on the 99 with the tire offset. So I wonder if it was a closing rate sort of situation. 99 struggling a little bit with the handling as they come out of turn 4. Maybe the 54 taking a little bit of air off. Oh no, they just got together, and that's a hard lick for Smeal. You see the sparks fly there, and actually a pretty gentle tap, all things considered, for Flores, but he just couldn't get the car pointed in the right direction right away. So I think Flores, even though he's gone backwards and lost the most time initially, is probably the one who gets off better. Of course, with Smeal in the pit lane, ripping the left front off the car, a very hard impact and probably a day ender, all things considered, especially because it's still green flag racing.
Yeah, Flores was on 60 lap old tires while Smeal was only on 13, so that just shows you the pure pace advantage that 54 had just because of it. But at the end of the day, it's all the same. You can have that advantage, but if you end up tearing the left front off, you're not going to go much further. Blake Henderson beginning to struggle a little bit. He just got passed by Wygen. He's got a big Q behind him. As Sharp just gave a big bump to the 95 there, Brady Quinn. And Brady Q Smith, I should say, but he keeps it pointed in the right direction.
Brady Quinn, isn't that a football player?
It is, but I saw Brady Q, so that I finished the game.
No, I don't blame you. Goodness, I haven't heard that name in a long time. But yeah, no, you can see them on your screen now, all wadded up. So, and again, this is one of the things we talked about. Remember how dominant the Patrick Overstat was earlier on? He had all that damage in that last caution. He's made his pit stop. That's why he's 2 laps down, but he is 2 laps down rather than 1, and now scrapping about with these 2. So,
Ooh, Kissweather coming in this time by, so he has hit the lap 57 on his tires, so he is now in.
He might have ran out at 57 laps. I don't know that he could have gone a whole lot longer, because remember, he has a few more laps on his tire than Hunter Peach does, but Peach might be pitting now as well from the looks of it, because Dustin Hall's inherited the lead, and yes, Peach is in. So, like I said earlier, I think if one of them blinked, the other one would too, and there you go. So, they're going to split this stage more or less in half. Again, lap 120, well, it's not quite in half, but they're going to give themselves a good amount of time to make something of this. So this is where it gets interesting, because we still have 6 cars that need to make a pit stop. For one of them, you're seeing coming in right now, Dustin Hall on the 1 car, Josh Arnold, Pacey Wygant, Blake Henderson, Smith and Frazier still need to come in as well. And this is going to actually hand the lead to Ross Baxter as it stands, who is bringing out the caution. Here's Arnold on your screen, but Ross Baxter, if he's got a 3-second gap to Josh Sosi, he may pull off a few laps led here in the transfer while things change hands, because remember, he had to pit because he was part of that caution. You see some damage on that car, but he had fresh tires, he has full fuel, he has not had to come into the pit lane, and he may end up leading the Southern 500 for a bit. But here comes Susi to take the lead back in the background, and Katie Height has not let him get too far away.
I don't think that likelihood is high at the moment, just because Arnold and Wygant and we see Ross Baxter and Lily Fraser, I should say, are all on the same strategy. Sharp's on a different strategy. So I don't think the likelihood is high. I think by the time we see our Arnold and Wygant pit, I think we'll see Sosi catch Baxter. But Baxter, not going to give up a lot of fight. He's fighting his own race here. He may be able to put the hammer down, but I just don't think the likelihood is high that Baxter's able to get a lap led before Sosi catches him.
Yeah, it just depends on when these last couple stragglers come into the pit lane. I mean, we're losing cars by the minute. There's only 4 left that need to pit. And of course, it doesn't really mean anything for the race other than Baxter being able to say he led a lap. But you're right, Kevin. He's getting caught at a rate of knots. And you can see Susie bringing good company with him because that's Height, Roberts, and Meredith all on your screen. And Peach really not that far behind, it must be noted. He's running 10th place, not too far off of Zach Meredith. So he hasn't lost a whole lot of ground despite staying out so long. I think he'll be in good position from what you were worried about, whether he'd put himself in danger. I think he's more than safely going to be in the conversation for stage points again, as Susie makes the pass on Baxter and puts another car between him and Caitlin Height. And I believe
Blake Henderson.
That is Henderson. I was going to say there's so many Biffle tributes cars. I can't quite tell till we see the side, but Henderson's made his pit stop. That's a scheduled stop. That places him, I guess, just off of the lead lap, unfortunately for him. But yeah. So
I think it's interesting as well as Hunter Peach obviously avoided going a lap down in the exchange as well, as he came out just ahead of our race leader, Josh Arnold, when he pitted. So he built enough of a gap, and now obviously currently they got the freshest tires inside our top 10, Kissing Weather being 1 down, but inside the top 10. We'll have to keep an eye on Peach as he's jumped Meredith on pure long strategy here, and he's got the advantage. We'll see what he can do here.
What we also just watched there on your screen is that Henderson unlapped himself to, de facto unlapped himself. He's still lapped down, but Susie's the one he's racing. And that, I believe, caution. I think Baxter just spun. Is that Baxter on the front straightaway that's stationary? This is going to throw a big wrench into things, and unfortunately it means the wave around for a lot of these drivers. That is Richard Odie in pit lane, but I believe he's been there for a moment. Yeah, that is the third gate of Ross Baxter. So I think Baxter on those waning tires.
This could be an incident as we look at the replay of lap cars kind of getting in trouble, even though he wasn't technically a lap car. But we're going to see here in a second. It's going to be him, and it's going to be the 61 machine of Caitlin Height going to come to contact here.
He's already quite slow. I wonder if he was trying to... It almost looked like he's posturing that car like he was going to pit, but no, he comes back to the outside lane. The closing rate's going to be very big here. Katie Height trying to get down on the bottom.
Don't hand out the window. I think it's going to be the next time by.
Yeah, well... Yeah, it will be next time around here. So...
It's coming out of 4.
Yeah, Katie's on the back bumper. This is headed into 1 right now. Katie, you saw how quickly that she and Bren Roberts caught up to Ross Baxter. Now let's see if Baxter tries to go low like he's about to pit or about to give the position. No, he still sits here, which is in his right to do. They are racing for position at this point, even though they're off sequence. I don't think he's doing anything absurd. He's just running the outside lane here. Is he just going to lose it? Oh, no, they funneled up it. This is exactly like what we saw with Baxter earlier. And that's exactly what took out Smeal. It was the same exact kind of situation, just catching that car. The car gets tight, slides up the hill, there's contact, and this time it draws a caution. So, unfortunate for Baxter. I can't say that he did anything wrong there. It just seemed like Katie Height either lost the handling or the way the track funneled up out of 4. Maybe she just misjudged it, I'm not sure, but that's the second time tonight now, Kevin, we've seen a wreck exactly like that, and it's the second time it's given some big damage to drivers.
Driver's going to escape out of this quite nicely. Hunter Peach will take the lead here, but with this caution, how it's timed, Josh Arnold, Pacey Wygant, Lily Frazier, both going to take advantage and be able to keep some net spots here. So they'll be 3rd, 4th, and 5th on track. So going on, played out nicely, and they will be slightly advantaged. Well, I would say slightly advantaged over the other cars that came in, but Height, Meredith, Sosi, Roberts all came in topped off as well and took tires as well. So only Peach, Kissing Weather stayed out. Everyone else more firmly inside the top 10 that were on the lead lap electing to come back in.
Yeah, that works out a treat for all those drivers that stayed out. We were wondering how much time they were going to lose, but everyone else going to be forced to take the wave around. They're going to have some worse tires. Granted, a lot of them are fresher than others, but this is going to give a great reset to this race as we were getting closer towards the halfway point, about 20 laps away from that one still. But working our way nicely through after a string of cautions. I do wonder, Kevin, that after we had that string of green flag, now that the field's all bunched up, we know cautions tend to breed cautions. So curious to know what that will do to this. But there is still a lot of different tire strategies going on here, so it may still stay spread out. There's the 91 of Bobby Blowers, who's in 10th place right now. I think he's the first of the wave around cars.
Yes, I see that correct. I think he is. Hall, Thompson, Overstat, Sassigal getting caught up here as well. They will just catch it right in time. Some cars going to get kind of messed out here as they're still trying to get caught around here, but we will not delay the caution. We will continue on.
Yeah, well, they're going to be single file on the inside line because they're all the wave around cars. So, going to leave it green flag here as they come to the line, and about 10 of them will come down to take the green flag side by side, and the next 30 are all going to be line astern, single file. But a great start by Pacey Wygent to try and keep up with Hunter Peach there in the 00. Where did Pacey come from? We haven't really talked about him much ever since his little incident, and Hunter Peach is going to smack the wall, give Pacey Wygent the lead for the first time tonight, seemingly out of nowhere, really taking advantage of going long on the pit strategy, getting some fresh tires and taking the fight to the 20 machine. But now it looks like Peach is going to try and cross back over, can't quite get it done. Pacey Wygent 00, top of the chart.
I think I'm maybe beating a dead horse here, but it just shows that the car on that outside line, second row, took advantage of the inside line, not really getting up the speed here. He was able to cut down in front of Kissingweather, and then in turn get the over-under on our the current guy coming to the lead in Hunter Peach. So overall, that 00 being aggressive, but we don't expect anything different from Pacey Wygent. He knows how to get the throttle down and wants the clean air on that nose and really flex out that pink machine. But right now, Hunter Peach is going to say, you took that from me, I want it back. Is it going to be side by side heading off into one?
Yeah, this is a great battle. A little slide job there for the number 20, Hunter Peach, to get the move back. He said, that is my lead, not yours. I'm taking it back. And now Mark Kissingweather's looking and licking his chops because he's seeing these two fight in front, and that's going to bring him into play. And then, of course, Katie Height right there as well. So this is a great little bit of driving we get to see. But I'm not surprised that Pacey Wygent's driven the car to the front of the field. There's no doubt that he's a fantastic race car driver. But how much damage was on that thing earlier in the day, it really does show they've gotten it all fixed up, and he's right back in the hunt. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw him up at the front already. So great work by that team to get that thing put back together. Kissingweather kisses the wall just a tiny bit. Another Darlington stripe to add to the list. And yeah, wow.
I mean, it doesn't shock me too much because obviously when you get in a wreck, you're always worried about the damage you have on the front. But I was shocked personally when I remember seeing you at Iowa when with what you quoted as a broken shopping cart hanging on to take victory. So overall, even with the damage, maybe it's ended up making that car maybe better in some ways, giving it maybe a bit more downforce or maybe even something we don't even know. So obviously if we do get to talk to him when this race ends, it'll be interesting to know if anything is affecting that car into a positive direction. But it looks almost like it just came out of the box. No major damage on that front end.
Yeah, sometimes you can break the car in a better way, and it can handle better for you. But especially in a situation like this, these cars tend to be so sensitive to that. I don't know that the days of that are really going to continue a whole lot longer. It does seem to me like it was a situation where they just fixed the car up and got it back to where it needed. And of course, he could have been adjusting on the car, trying to compensate for the damage, because this is open setups, remind you. So, you know, if the car's a little tight, we did that at Bristol. I purposely made the car a lot looser because I was having a lot of damage on the suspension, and it helped keep a little bit of pace until we got more tore up later in the race. That is an option to these drivers for sure. They can adjust the wedge, they can adjust the tire pressures. There's a lot of tools they can do between pit stops if they can't fix all the damage. But in the case of Pacey Wygent, I think they got that bad boy all fixed up. He currently sits second, trying to hold off Mark Kissingweather and Katie Height, and trying to make himself known as one of the factors in tonight's event.
Wygent, I think, being not a former winner, because only Swatzer was the only former winner here, but I know Wygent has had success at this track in other disciplines as well. So definitely, again, flexing his muscle, showing how he belongs, trying to be in contention. We see here on our screen, though, the two, Mark Kissingweather and Katie Height, I should say, battling it out here as they are now catching the back of Wygent. So that could be a pick that could help that 61, but looking in the mirror, Meredith, he's looking a bit racy. Sosi slowly getting reeled in as well. So if Wygent begins to kind of lose touch here to Peach, it could open the door that someone's like, all right, we got to get the move on here or we're going to get swallowed up.
Yeah, it could be that situation. Wygent could be going hard. Of course, he did lead a lap, and he is going to get a bonus point, I believe, for that. Of course, he came in here 8 points ahead of the cut line in the playoffs, so he's put himself in a nice position. I don't think he scored stage points the first time around, though, and he'd like to hang on 20 more laps and take a good heap home with him. Hunter Peach, however, who did score quite a few points in the first stage, now finds himself leading by a good margin now, and with some room to boot. So 20 to go in the stage at this lap, so that will give these drivers about 20 miles to figure it out amongst themselves. You see Katie Height getting a little bit hungry on the back of Kissingweather, and you can see the push there. Kissingweather physically pushing Pacey Wygent off into turn one, so they are getting really bottled up here, and this is opening the door for Zachary Meredith, Josh Susi, and even Bren Roberts further off in the background to start licking their chops and looking at an opportunity to get on this podium.
I think it's indicative because everyone from first to 11 for pretty much on the same strategy. Obviously, we see Kiss and Weather being on a little bit older tires along with Peach, owned by 7 to 8 laps. So it's not enough. So everyone's pretty much equalized. So we're kind of seeing what pure speed these machines have. But it looks like Kiss and Weather, like, I'm getting taken out from behind here. I need you to get going, Wygen. He's going to press the issue, and he's going to get clear. So Kiss and Weather says, I don't know if you're saving. I don't know if you just don't have the speed. But I need to dispose of you, or else I'm going to lose third. And he's now up second. Height going to fall through. And you can see it's now an open door policy as Zachary Meredith as well going to slide on in and try to clear that 00 machine.
Yeah, that just opened the floodgates to bring all these drivers. Pacey Wygen's got quite a bit of pace in that 00, but he is not as quick as some of these leaders. Susi about hooked him out of turn 4 there. He was in such a hurry, and his impatience will be punished because now he loses a spot to Bren Roberts. So Bren now up the rear diffuser of the 00, and he'll have his chance to try and make an opportunity. Again, you can see those blue numbers on the roof also trying to help signify who is in and out of the playoffs. So all 4 of the drivers, or all 3 of the drivers on your screen right there, in the blue numbers, as is the 17 just ahead of Zach Meredith. If that doesn't help, you can also reference the tower on the left-hand side, that bright blue, that teal, drivers that are in the playoffs, and then the dark blue drivers that are eliminated. So first round of 5 in this first segment of the playoffs. 16 drivers still in, top 8 make it, win and you're in, so there's a lot to fight for early on in this playoff format. But Peach now opens up a 1.25 second gap over Kiss and Weather, even though Kiss and Weather did just find some clear air as they all navigate Pacey Wygen, coming to 16 to go on the stage. But right now things are looking good for the Yahoo machine. It's probably what he's saying behind the wheel there.
Yeah.
Yahoo!
Yahoo indeed. As he is, again, pulling out like you were just alluding to. Keeping an eye throughout the rest of the pack here. Right now, obviously, as we're getting close to the end of the stage, Dustin Hall owns that last stage point at the moment. Catching a little bit of some snaps here, though, as he is under pressure from Bobby Blowers trying to sneak his way in along with Stefan Overstep. But he's about 3 back as that car behind is Pelletier Sharp, who is currently at least 1 down. So top 10 right there on your screen. Now Blowers will now take that last point as Hall is struggling at the moment. His tires are only 21 laps old.
Yeah, well, again, the sun's going to get down. The track's cooling off. This could be a situation, of course, where the driver's starting to struggle a bit with the changing track temperatures. They're going to have to adjust on that. But the thing to keep in mind is that none of these drivers are in the playoffs. It's Bailey Thompson and Eli Sasek at 13th and 14th, who are, I believe, just now at the very top of the screen coming out of turn 2. They've got some work to do in the next 14 laps if they want to try and earn a stage point. Here's Bailey Thompson and Eli Sasek on the inside line there. Actually, that's the 97 machine, excuse me. The Ascent car's all changing colors and shifting around every week, but she's trying to get the bit between her teeth and go after Oberstat and Hall, and I don't think Hall will put up a very big fight because they're teammates, but she's got to try and get after Oberstat and try and get after Blowers if she wants to score herself a point. Now, I believe...
Ooh, Sosi pitting. Sorry to cut you off. Sosi just dropped 4 or 5 spots. No, I think he... Disconnection, possibly? Because he is falling down the order here.
That's so critical because he had such a fast car, and you can see him now as he tumbles down the tower as drivers go around where he would have been on the track. So yeah, it could be a disconnect. Now he's back. So let's see if he's back and now being scored at the scoring loop at 6. So I think he just got very close to a latency issue and has fallen back into the race. So that would have been huge for him to blink out. Very fortunate that he did get that connection back before he through-putted. He does stay in the 6th position, but beads of sweat coming out of that 24 pit box now.
So it was 2 times. It went once, he came back just for a second. It was another long pause. You just got to hold your breath and just hope that it comes back, because if he's out, it's pretty much he's going to lose 2-3 laps trying to rejoin,
more
and
than
that is pretty much curtains.
That is the worst feeling as a race car driver, especially when you have a car as fast as he does. He led pretty much all of that first portion of the race, and now he still sits firmly inside the top 10, has a great shot to get in the top 5. And again, he came in here only 4 points to the good over the cut line. So if he finishes in the deep 30s tonight, he could be in a spot of trouble for the next 4 races. So there's nothing more painful than having a great race car and seeing everybody around you disappear and watch those latency bars turn red. It is the worst feeling in racing.
And obviously, it stinks even more because this is the very beginning. You don't know what your car truly had, but as the race goes on, it gets worse and worse because you know what you have. You know you had some speed in it, and if it kicks out so late, it just kicks your teeth. Looks like I heard something possibly pop up with Swadsworth, but it looks like he's still got point in the right direction. So just driver's getting a little bit chatty on the radio here, just trying to hang on to his machines as the sun is beginning to set.
Yeah, this really isn't a track where you're yapping a whole lot, to be honest, because you're so busy driving the race car. We've seen these guys smacking the walls. You see right there out of turn 2. We've seen drivers having big corrections over the seams. It's very difficult. You don't have a whole lot of time to think here. And again, it's a 1.3-mile track. The laps are really short when you stay green, so these cars are extremely quick around here. So it's definitely busy boys and girls behind the wheel tonight. But yeah, it seems like everything's okay on the Swadsworth deal, unless you found more on that, but still running 16. So
yeah, Henderson did smack the wall a ton. He's okay. The car's still pointing in the right direction, but he gave that wall a good old smack. And I think that's what Swadsworth was reacting to ahead of him, because when it chimes up, it's not going to be much, because like you were alluding to, you're kind of driving this car a lot. You don't have time to hold down the button or say what you need to say. It's going to be a quick one line like wreck or oh god or something in between that you're going to see. So,
or some more colorful words that we can't say on the broadcast, but I bet you they're saying that to each other right now as Meredith and Bren Roberts went side by side through 3 and 4. Bren couldn't quite make it work on the inside, but now Susie trying to get after it as well. This is the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th, and they're all 3 playoff drivers as they fight right now. Meredith in the 17 was 11 points to the good of the cut line on the way in here. The 83 Bren Roberts 13 to the good, and like we just mentioned, Susie only 4 to the good, but still seated in 7th place when the chase started. So a lot to play for here, and again, as these laps click away, Kevin, we're only 6 more laps away from another round of stage points being awarded. 7, 6 this time by. So there's a lot to play for. Some very strong stage points between 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's a big point swing if you can get up there and make those passes.
And you can also see it as well from 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th with Wygant, Frazier, Blowers, and Arnold all in a blanket as well. We see right here Meredith trying to get clear, keep 4th position away from Bren Roberts. But yeah, other than maybe our top 2 that are pretty much checked out at the moment, there's a lot that can change here in these next couple laps, depending on how many points you get. And like you were alluding to, 1 point can make the difference, especially if you need it. So you want to make sure you can maximize your points gained, especially this into the middle of a playoff.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robert's still just trying to get around Meredith. I think he does have the faster car right now, Kevin, but Meredith doing a great job to put that car on the outside lane, which seems to continue to be the strongest lane. Roberts just gets up there to try and maybe side draft a little bit, try and pull that 17 back. If he could get side by side into turn 1, he could dive in like we saw earlier into turn 1 and maybe put a slide job. That outside lane really strong right now, though. You kind of have to late apex it. It's like a double apex through 1 and 2. You want to enter on that low line, fade up to the high lane in between, and then cut back down low because that wall will sneak up on you. But then through here, the high line just feels like to be the way they go. And we already saw that inside line catch a couple drivers out tonight. So you've got to be really careful when trying to force the issue down there, not to drive into the car on the outside lane. But as they cross the line now, 4 to go in stage 2. Again, no caution for the stage break, but the top 10 will be awarded points. And I don't think Sawyer and Thompson will be able to get to Josh Arnold and Dustin Hall for 10th spot. So it looks like Peach, Kissenweather, Meredith, Roberts, Susie, and Wygant will be the big winners on this particular stage. And we'll pad their stats a little further as we head on further into the playoffs. And then again, that's the last bit of stage racing we're doing until the checkered flag flies. So another opportunity here from Roberts, best one he's had yet. He's going to go ahead and do that slide job just like I said, Kevin, and now he's going to take the spot away. A great move after a really hard-fought battle. Move Roberts up to 4th.
He was patient, he was methodical, and he got the job done. Made sure not to over panic and overcook the tires. Now we'll see what he can do. Got the sight gap. Looks like Bailey Thompson going to come on in just before the stage ends. They are currently riding in 14th position, so looks like they got caught out by a bad times call here. As they
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think that's not a bad move because here's the thing. Remember, she pit as soon as that first stage ended. Like literally the lap after stage 1 ended, so she's already really struggling with those tires, and she knows she's not gonna make it to the top 10 anyway before the end of the stage. She's gonna try and pit early and get that track position to put herself in a better spot and try and get ahead of some of those cars and see if she can't get herself into the mix with Wygant, Frazier, and Arnold. I think it's early, but she kind of backed herself in a corner after pitting at the end of stage 1. I don't disagree with that move at all. And here, as we work the final lap of the stage, Susie's going to get by the 17 as well. So Meredith tried to hang on, but he's going to lose both positions now on the final lap of the stage. Peach will come around and should win stage number 2. So he's done a fantastic job of keeping that number 20 car on good pace and on high alert. Mark Kissenweather as well. Both of those two on the off-sequence strategy. It's worked a treat for them both. Both of them happened to fight through some adversity earlier in the race. They've turned it into an opportunity. They go 1-2 on the stage. That's going to help them out a treat. Katie Height not scoring championship points in the playoffs, but does get stage points for third. Robert Susi, Meredith Wygent, Blowers, Lily Fraser, and Josh Arnold, the top 10. And a big tip of the hat there to Arnold, because remember, he was in trouble at the very start of the green flag before we even were able to get our broadcast to pick up. Finds himself getting some stage points in that number 12. So good recovery drive for him as well.
Now that obviously that caution came out just the right time, and it's helped him out a treat. Looking at some drivers that may be coming in the next window here, as we are now basically running to the finish here. Obviously, with no cautions, regardless of stage breaks. We'll probably see right now Eli Sasek will have to pit the next couple laps. He's 56 laps on his run. Zachary Apson at 57. But outside of that, looking at our top 10. Next highest is Kissenweather and Peach, both at 40 and 39 respectively, and then Height third all the way to 10th, currently on 32. So by my calculations, we're looking at maybe one more pit stop, because 120 to 140, 140 to give or take 200, and then 200 to finish. So no real need to save anything here if the math holds out for at least our top 10. So pretty much looks like it's game on. We'll see if anyone else, though, maybe going a bit long, may try something, but no real miracle fuel roads we are seeing at the moment.
Caution right now would throw a wrench into all of those plans, but you're right, Kevin. This is so far turning into, after a short spree of cautions at the very start of this race, the sun's gone down, these drivers got settled in, they've wrenched on the cars and made the adjustments they've needed, and it's turned into one of those classic Darlington races, a slow burn that we love to watch, and it really reminds you of the days of old, before we were even born even. They were having races like this, and it's so much fun to see a little bit of that old NASCAR magic still alive in 2026. Again, thank you for joining us so far. We're just nearing the halfway point, or just now past the halfway point, rather, of the Southern 500, the first round of the HTL Cup Series playoffs. I'm Christina Ryan, alongside me is Kevin Young, and a huge shout out to Christian Delgado for being our producer tonight. Carmen Sienna, under the weather, not able to make it. We love you, Carmen. We hope you're feeling better soon and get you back in the booth to bring pictures to us all. A big heartfelt get well soon from everybody at ABN. But as it stands right now, thank you all for joining us. Thanks for being here. It's been a great first half to tonight's event. As you see, Bren Roberts and Selena Thompson fighting over that position. Remember, Bailey just made that pit stop as well, so that's the fresh tire differential pit just before the end of the stage, trying to get some track position. She's on her way now, and I think that's right behind now Caitlin Height. It is behind Caitlin Height, who I believe also has made her pit stop now as things cycle out, Kevin.
Nope, she is not. She is currently in that position. Bren Roberts and her are fighting for third and fourth. The 27
you're right. My bad.
Thompson
I'm sorry.
Is trying to get back on the lead lap. So if right now Bren Roberts and now the 61 will be under pressure and will continue to fight, but yeah, 27 is just trying to get caught to the leader and unlap themselves to try to get back on the lead lap.
Yes, my apologies again. The ticker, the 87 machine, the 61 machine tonight. So disregard that. But yeah, still fighting for position, still running in third place. And you can see Bailey Thompson's number 27. She's got a lot of pace with those fresh tires. She's got to be careful not to burn them up too much. She doesn't want to give herself into another situation where she doesn't have anything to fight with at the end of the stint. But like you said, Kevin, I'm curious because she pit just shy of 120. I think it was 118, 117. Could she make it on the same amount of pit stops as the rest of the field, or has she backed herself into a situation where she's going to have to make an extra pit stop with how the math is working out here?
Just to make sure we're talking about Bailey Thompson, correct? Who we're following?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. She currently is pitting now. She's 7 laps on her tires. She is 2 laps down, so she's not in the best of spots. But if we're looking at the math here, 60 laps should get her to, if we go by the max fuel road by chance, should get her to about 180, and then, well, maybe 175-ish, and then 75, 85. She should be good on one stop, but it's going to be a lot tighter than a lot of the lead lap cars. But if she can keep the number and keep the number positive, but she may have to save a little bit, but she's going to be dealing with some heavily worn tires for both the end of these runs. So she probably would want a caution just to try to either get back on sequence or maybe help her out here a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know that she quite has the pace to win the race tonight, but again, this is her playoff appearance. She's here. She won in Chicago to punch her ticket into the playoffs. She's trying to think about how she can get as many points as she can. It's going to be an interesting kind of B plot or C plot to keep an eye on, because she's on a very unique strategy right now, having pit just a few laps shy of the stage break. I'm curious to know if she can make that distance work. She's already gone a very long distance on the tires, Kevin. We saw her pit just after the first stage, make it all the way to just before the end of the second stage. So she put a lot of laps on those Goodyear Eagles. So we know she can go a long distance. It's going to be important to see if she can keep in her rhythm. But might not be the biggest story tonight, but definitely want to keep an eye on that 27 machine.
Yeah, we'll see on this one. Obviously, driving well. We'll see. Obviously, I think she'll need a caution if she wants to get a little further up. But then again, stranger things have happened as cautions have fallen quite nicely. Looking at who should be coming down next, we see Tucker Slayer, Dale Markowski, and Chad Swatsworth both currently past the 50 lap on the stage for their tires. Same thing with Peach and Kissenweather. They're going to cross at this time by. We see Kissenweather go to 50 and Hunter Peach go to 49. So they should be on the cusp of coming in here within the next 10 laps or so. And that lead then will hand over actually to Bren Roberts. Not even Josh Sosa. And well, she is in now. A little early for her, as she's only 41 laps on those tires. So maybe looking at the math, maybe looking at something. No real wounds on that car that I can speak of. So,
well, we're within 100 laps to go now, Kevin. I think this might be a strategy. She might be banking on this race going green to the end. Of course, no more stages to worry about. We're on lap 132, so she could split this into a pretty doable 50-50 sort of situation. Not even 50 laps, something like 48 laps to get herself to the end. So more than doable, as the window, again, the fuel mileage, 54 to 56 laps. You can see a couple other drivers coming in with her now. So another strategy thing to keep an eye on here.
Yeah, it's a little early, but yeah, maybe that is the correct call here to say, because we can literally see Hunter Peach, Kissenweather, and we'll see Roberts and co. through 9th able to make it to 48, 49. So it's doable to keep the pace and keep the tires under her. So it's not a bad decision. I think Hunter Peach on the comms here. Keep an eye if he's coming in this time by our race leader. But yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head there, that she is going to try a little bit of a different strategy, assuming it goes green, and give herself 2 fresh tires instead of having to try to go to 60 and then maybe having a 30-lap run on another set.
And Peach could be responding to this too. And keep in mind, I don't know so much that Katie Height's responding to Selena Thompson, but they definitely all had their eyes on that 27 car to see what lap time she was running. She was the first one to blink of the cars that are remotely competitive. So, and we saw how quickly she cleared herself and unlapped herself from that group. It's kind of like what we saw earlier with the 25 of Blake Henderson, where he unlapped himself. So as Kissenweather and Roberts have this battle that's been raging on for second place, they continue to try and chase down Hunter Peach, but Peach may be expecting to make a pit stop soon to respond to Katie Height, who may not have been the fastest car on the night thus far, but has definitely been strong enough to keep everybody's eyes peeled there with her coming down pit road. This is kind of critical to see if they take this seriously or not. It could be Katie's benefit, or it could be what kind of backfires on her. If she gets these drivers to blink, that's honestly not a bad call, because now they're all on the same strategy, and she'll have that advantage with the undercut. So very, very interesting. But what else is interesting is this three-way fight for second place right now as well. It's starting to heat up with Kissenweather, Roberts, and Susie.
Because we're at 3.5 on our leader. Roberts and Sosi now kind of falling into the advantage, as we know. Kissenweather out 54 with Roberts and Sosi about 46. So again, not that much of a difference, but we're seeing the end of life for Kissenweather's tires. Sosi wants that lead back when the first top two do pit. He will get around Bren. So flexing his muscle on this late run here, and now going to try to find a way Kissenweather. But the problem is they're going to catch some traffic here. As you see just up the road, there's Richard Odie who got out of the way. Second car on track, that's Blake Henderson. But Kissenweather going to come on in. He does not want any more of this fight. He does not feel like losing time is up to his treat. He's coming in to try to undercut Peach. And if I'm Peach's crew chief, I'm letting him know, hey, car in second just pitted. 3.5 seconds though, so could maybe go an extra lap or two and not really have to worry about trying to cover that off with the gap Peach was able to put down.
Remember they pit together last time, Kevin. It was Peach and Kissenweather that came into the pit lane on the same lap, and that's what got them that track position to put themselves 1-2. So interesting to see that Peach has still stayed out another lap. I wonder how many more he's going to stay out for. Of course, he's got a big enough gap to Kissenweather. He has time to react to that. But you can see Bren Roberts, I'm surprised he's staying out as well. He seems to be struggling. He hit the fence a couple laps ago, lost that spot to Susie. Now under fire, not for position, but the 9 car of Eli Sassett getting by as well. Going to put another car between. You can see the gap opening. Bren Roberts definitely seeming to struggle right now on those Goodyear Eagles. I think he's trying to hang on so he doesn't set himself up for another long run to the end, but I'll have one more pit stop to do after this, with the exception now of Mark Kissenweather. and Caitlin Height, now Hunter Peach as he comes in, and Bailey Thompson. So they've all made their stop. Peach making his now. They still all have one more to go. Drivers like Susie Roberts, Meredith, and co have 2 stops to go yet, I believe.
Yep. Yep, you are correct. They both just hit the lap 50, so it's just even 5 or 6 laps. It really just comes down to the question now, how long do you want to go here? Because obviously, caution comes out right now. Kiss and Weather currently 1 down, would have to take the wave around and not pit for fresh tires. And the longer you go, the more chance you got. But at the same point, going longer as well gives you an opener opportunity to try to give yourself a bigger bad strategy. Like we saw with Caitlin Height coming in, trying to do 40-40, you could go long here and go for the final run a bit shorter and be maybe 30 or 35 laps on your tires instead of 40 or 45. So we'll see what these drivers do, but you got to think about cutting off different drivers, try to do the undercut. You feel better under or over. Think of that. And this is all going through a mind of a driver while having to get on that wheel and hang on to some spots here. So, yeah, just take that into the mind of some of these people that are driving these cars that don't have that crew chief in their ear telling them these numbers. They have to calculate all of this while going about 180 miles an hour.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's worth noting Katie Height on those fresh tires has passed Henderson, as Henderson's now coming into pit lane. She is now the first car 1 lap down on those fresh tires. That's Henderson in the pit lane now, making his scheduled pit stop. So Height has already made herself known that she's going to probably be able to unlap herself eventually here if these leaders stay out longer than her. Now this is kind of backing her into a corner though, as you see Peach working Peltier Sharp to put her a lap down, or unlap himself rather, against her. Peach is now second, so Height has taken the lead as we look at her now. She has taken the de facto lead as it stands, which is very fascinating to see, and that is Hunter Peach, who's now going to be in the second position. So that's going to be a fun battle to keep an eye on. Katie Height has made this pit strategy work out a treat for her, and Bailey Thompson not too far off of these two. She's not racing in position for the win, but she has made up some significant spots as well. She's running in the mid-teens. So I think the early pit stop strategy, of course, it's going to work out for these drivers in the short term. Very fascinating to see how it works in the long term. Into the pit lane now is the 17 of Zachary Meredith, and I believe that's Bobby Blowers tucked up underneath the rear diffuser. There it is. They're 5th and 6th respectively, making their pit stop. They'll have 1 more to go after this, but that leaves Josh Susie, Bren Roberts, Pacey Wygant, Josh Arnold, and Smith in the number 95 machine as the remaining lead lap cars that still have to make a pit stop. And I believe Peltier Sharp as well, who's 1 lap down in 10th. I think she also still needs to make her pit stop.
Correct. Yep. Sosi, Roberts, Wygant, Arnold, Meredith, Blowers, and Sharp all still need to pit in the short term, along with Brady, Q, Smith. Everyone else currently floating around the top 10 should be good. But looking at, we're just
here comes Susie. Sorry, I hate to cut you off there, but Susie diving into the pit lane. So a big moment here for his penultimate stop. We see him make his way in, Kevin.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, looking at just to show you the advantage and disadvantage of going long here, we were talking about the 61 machine, now 87 on our timing board. Caitlin Height, she just got caught and passed by Hunter Peach, and I was wondering maybe she could lead a lap when cycling through, but you can just see the speed that 20 has is now puts another car as they throw Wygant in between her and the 20 Hunter Peach. So Peach will take the lead back here when it all cycles in. And doing the math, obviously Peach should cycle back. Obviously, we stay caution-free with another stop on the horizon. Should retake it, but obviously, best laid plans of mice and men usually go awry. So you never can count your chickens before they hatch. Roberts, at the moment, I think possibly coming in this time by, and Wygant is actually in now. So only Roberts yet to pit here out of the top 30.
Yeah, and this is the worst thing for all these other drivers, because we saw how fast that 20 car was after a crash. Here comes Roberts now to give up the lead. We saw after the crash, the 20 car got put back together in the daytime, was still running quick. Kevin, I think that car's gotten faster as the lights have come on and the sun's gone down. You didn't think it could get a whole lot faster. I mean, he blew by Caitlin Height. Granted, there's a tire disadvantage there, but blew by Caitlin Height like she was standing still. And we saw how fast Caitlin was in the earlier parts of this race. So that 20 car looks like the one to beat right now. And if you'd have told me that was the case after he was pointed backwards with the front clip just about hanging off that thing, I would have called you crazy.
I would have been shocked too. I think it's worth noting as well that we saw Peach do that with an 8-lap advantage on the tires just recently. We also saw him keep that speed with an 8-lap disadvantage as well to a lot more. So even with the advantage in his favor or not, he is really ripping it. Now, obviously, we'll see as it plays out here. Some of the late runners now finally coming in as people will take the lead. But we see Sosi, he's going to have a 6-lap advantage, presumably. Meredith, 4 laps. Bobby Blowers, 4 laps. Bren Roberts, obviously coming in later, going to have the bigger gap of 8 to 9. So we'll see how this plays out. But we saw in that run there, 10-lap tire differential is not really enough to make too much bones. So it's going to be a big task to chase down Peach, as he had well over a 3-second lead when the cycle started. And at the moment, it's a 2.7 gap between himself and Caitlin Height. So overall, we'll have to see if anyone can close in that gap and try to make that Yahoo number 20 machine look human.
Well, what's incredibly fascinating to me is while Peach went blowing by Caitlin Height like she was standing still, it's worth noting Katie still got a really good advantage from this pit stop right now. She is still 7 seconds clear of Joshua Susi and almost 10 seconds clear of Zachary Meredith. And granted, she's going to lose a lot of that gap as this race...
Caution is out.
Well, forget everything I said.
Trying to see who it is at the moment. Not seeing any... I think it's Dustin Hall in the one. Yeah, he's got heavy damage on the front.
The City Financial Machine is in shambles. Again, another one of the Greg Biffle throwbacks to one of his nationwide schemes back when he ran the one car rolling once again. But this does change everything. This is going to make for some decision time for some of these drivers. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Katie comes down and gets some fresh tires. She has an extra set to play with here. This is looking at what happened to Dustin Hall, trying to ride that seam. It's Pacey Wygant in the 00 and Lily Frazier. And second time tonight that Hall just lost it all by himself. Maybe some of the air taken off. It's important to note, Kevin, these cars can take air off one another. And Pacey Wygant was quite close to the rear spoiler of the one. But Dustin Hall having one to forget and a hard lick to that outside wall. And I would like to see one more replay of that because I'm not sure if Frazier got a piece of that. I know for sure Wygant did. And Wygant was running in the 8th position, so this is massively unfortunate. So yeah, here's Wygant in the 00. You have Lily Frazier in the 71. And there was a 4th car in this window as well. I'm not sure exactly who it was. We'll find out in a second. But again, 00 gets up behind. He's already loose here, Kevin. And then even closer, I think maybe Pacey took the air off of him. It certainly looks like something like that. And the seam's definitely not helping. And it was the 12 of Josh Arnold that gets a piece of this as well. So hard lick, obviously. Dustin Hall, the one who gets off of here the worst. Another hard lick to the inside for Arnold. That's the second time tonight he's been involved in an incident after a great recovery. So super unfortunate there. And it looks like maybe a toe link broken on the number 12.
Worst contact there for Lily Frazier. Those of you were looking at that wreck there, see if she got any contact. She did not hit the spinning one, Dustin Hall. Pretty much got away, pretty much scot-free from a wall hit, other than getting hit in the back by the 12 machine of Josh Arnold. But could have been a lot worse, because if he's hit the spinning one, or even got tagged by Wygant. So maybe a small scratch on the right side and a little damage in the back, but definitely not going to hurt the speed too much of that 71. Some drivers electing to come in here to shake it up, but not too much of note from our top half of the field, as they're all staying out, because if you do the math, can't make it on one more stop here. Caution came out just a bit early for that window, as we would safely assume you have to get to about 178 range to comfortably make it. Yeah, about 178, maybe 180 range for a final pit stop. So we're a little bit a ways away from that yet. So no real true reason to come in, but to your credit, it looks like, if I'm reading it right, Caitlin Height did come in.
She did. I was wondering.
And Dale Markowski and Sasek.
I was wondering if she would, because she had the worst tires, and she put herself in a really good position if it stayed green. You see Kissenweather come down pit lane now as well in the 2 car once again. So I wonder what happened there. I'm not sure if he's on the lead lap or not. I don't think he is.
He got pinned by that caution. I think kind of in a bad spot. He's 1 down, so he's one of those drivers that really got bit in the backside from this caution coming out. So he got lucky on the first one, weren't timed right. Now, though, he is going to have to kind of recover here, which is odd. You think he tried the wave around, but obviously I think he got pinned with some of the cars staying out. So,
and it's worth noting. It's worth noting as well. Remember, Bailey Thompson was 2 laps down after she made her early pit stop. This also bails her out because she is on the lead lap now as a result of making up all that ground, and she gets to make a free pit stop now, get fresh tires on, and get back on sequence with the rest of the field. So for both Height and Thompson, that early pit stop worked a treat for them. They caught the caution at the perfect time.
Up the Swatsura, 14 cars on the lead lap. Currently at the moment, first car 1 down is Lily Peltier-Sharp on 15th. Some notable names currently 1 down include Brady Q. Smith, who's running inside the top 10, Blake Henderson, Elias Flores, and Mark Kissenweather, is obviously Dustin Hall, Arnold, and a few other drivers got some damage in that wreck. currently at the moment 28 cars still running, with Matthew, Smeal, Jones, Wright all behind the wall.
Peach and Susie will lead us down. Thanks for the recap there, Kevin. We're side by side and getting ready for another restart after the 6th caution on the night as we work our way through the back half of the Southern 500 within 100 laps to go. Green flag in the air, and it's a great restart by Peach, but this is the best chance Susie's had at the lead since he lost it when the sun was still up here at this racetrack. And Bren Roberts again trying to work that outside lane like he has been all night, and it looks like he's going to get the temporary advantage as they come down the back straightaway out of turn 2. Susie gets a little loose. Roberts going to move up to second.
I think this is the first time Susie's been towards the front well over 100 laps on a restart. As in the last restart, he was buried a little bit further back. So we'll see what he can do now that he doesn't have to make up those many spots, as he's now getting still attacked here by Meredith. He's
trapped
on Roberts, as he's going to try to barge his way up here as quick as he can and slot in.
Yeah, he shoved his way in there to behind the 17 car. They made contact going into turn 3, door to door. Not malicious, of course, but trying to fill the gaps there. You see Caitlin Height on those freshest tires of everybody in front of her with that free pit stop under the caution. She's trying to make quick work of that. She sits in 5th place right now. You mentioned Tucker Sawyer in this 97 machine just behind, another one of the championship drivers. Worth noting, all but 2 drivers in the top 10 are playoff drivers. So you don't think they know what this is worth and how important it is to start off on the right foot. There you go. So save for Caitlin Height and Dale Markowski, who both are having great races at this point, it must be said, especially since Markowski was pointed backwards at one point earlier in this race. Everybody in the top 10 is a playoff driver. Only 8 of them will make it into the final round of the 16 that started, so we'll see what happens here.
I think Tucker Sawyer is quite interesting because we really haven't said much about him. He's been hanging around mid-teens, late 20s. That caution at just the right time kind of helped him, along with his Ascent teammate in Eli Sasek, along with Markowski as well. So it's interesting of note how you can be a have or a have-not at the turn of a dime. Bailey Thompson as well. So note of worthiness that he's really helped out here, and with a late run, we'll see what he can kind of do now. He's not buried around traffic if he can keep that 97 heading towards the front.
Well, Tucker's the first guy to tell you, too. He is not an oval racer. This is not his bread and butter. He has been working so hard over this 2025 season and now into 2026 to improve on that. Of course, we see it here on ABN in the ABN Champ Car World Series. He was one of the 3 drivers fighting for the World Championship alongside myself and Nicholas Pressey. Pressey ended up on top of that one, but Sawyer was dominating all the road courses, but just couldn't get the program together on the oval. Of course, the open wheel side of things much different, but he's been using this as a great opportunity to continue to learn oval racing, to continue to work at it, and he's a fantastic driver. He's got some great racecraft. He's probably one of the, not to slight the other drivers on Ascent, but he's probably one of the best drivers on the Ascent stable, all things considered, and he's proving it as being the highest placed one right now. Of course, he hits the wall and makes me look like an idiot, but he's going to fight side by side with Dale Markowski and try and hold on. He's got his teammate Eli Sasek just behind, but really trying to get together a good program here on the ovals, and you got to give him credit. He is, to his credit, starting to finally show the improvement for all the hard work and effort he's put in to get better at these deals.
And it shows, like we see in real life NASCAR as well. If you can be good at the road courses and get your dues on those road courses, get good points. If you can figure out the ovals, you'll be a good treat, like at Connor Zilic in real life. Shows started really good at the road courses, finding the ovals. He's got that pure raw talent on the point. And obviously, I think Tuck would be very grateful if I compared him to Connor Zilic. But I think he's got a little bit of way to go on the ovals before we get to that. As we watch this pack here, as it gets a little bit tight here as cars fight out, I'm also keeping an eye on the lead as Brent Roberts is not allowing Hunter Peach to drive off into the distance, as he's kept that 10th gap here, and he's been hounding the back of that 20 machine. So Peach, we were talking about how he was feeling like a lightning rod, but now that his gap's been a bit eradicated, is he saving his stuff, or is he struggling to get going as that sun is now officially set?
Well, I think one of 2 things here. Maybe it's both, Kevin. We remember Peach was really good on the long run. Roberts was not. Do you remember him struggling and floundering around kind of towards the end of his tire stint? So I think right now Roberts might be pushing just a little too hard, but that's not a bad thing considering the fact that it's Hunter Peach in your windshield. I'd probably be pushing right now if I was Roberts too, because if that 20 car gets away, you probably won't see him again. So I think Roberts is taking this advantage to go hard, try and get out front, see if the clean air can do something for him, try and make something happen. We're talking about him on broadcast, of course, so we've got something to watch here as well. So, but you can already see Peach starting to scoot away a little bit. I think Roberts might have went hard and fast rather than trying to nurse those tires through. Peach is looking big picture.
I don't think it's the end of the world as well, because like I said, if he gets ahead, he can get clear. We know he's got a short run car. Obviously, he's going to be in trouble here because you just see Sosi tag the wall a bit if he falls further back. But I think he knows, look, I got a car that's faster if maybe stay ahead of Meredith and Sosi, but I know I don't have the strongest car at the Peach. But if I could try to get ahead of him and hold him up and make his life miserable, maybe I can buy me some time and try to get him to burn his stuff up instead. So it's not a bad call. Sadly, it doesn't get to work at the moment. When we see in third, Sosi, maybe the second best driver, really put the second best driver of this race behind Hunter Peach as he led those first 50 laps, trying to reclaim the throne that Hunter Peach currently holds.
Yeah, that's a good point to note. I don't blame Roberts. It's not to say he's not, he's not an idiot for doing what he's doing. I think he's doing what he should be doing given the equipment he has right now, given the pace he's had. And he's also building a nice gap back to those drivers, especially if he's going to have some issues. Again, this stint doesn't have to be ran all the way to the end. They can split it up so he doesn't have to give himself such a long stint. He can run a little bit harder if he'd like to. So I'm fascinated to see if that's going to work out. I'm not so sure that it will, because if it goes green to the end, he's going to be in a bit of a bother towards the end of this stint or at the end of the race, depending on when he pits. But he already caught a caution on a good break. He could catch another one on a good break, or if he splits this up the right way and gets the car underneath him, he could still have a really strong finish. And I don't know if he necessarily has a shot to win right now. I just don't think he quite has the pace, to be frank with you. But again, he's a playoff driver. He's running second right now. He's got some stage points to boot. He's in a really good position overall. While that's going on, like you said, Meredith, Katie Height getting after it right now. Susie scooting away despite that wall tap. He's showing that 24 car still has pace, even though the sun has gone down. But this battle continues too. Katie Height on those fresh tires hasn't really been able to make too many inroads, but I think she should have made that pit stop anyway. Granted, she had such a discrepancy on those tires. Perhaps she's trying to take care of it a little bit, but she's looking a bit hungry on trying to get around Zach Meredith. But we know how good Meredith has been on defense tonight.
Saw making 4 or 5 straight laps, holding up that inside line, not allowing, I believe it was Bren Roberts, to get around that later on. Looking a little further back, Wygant losing a couple spots, going to fall down to the last car at the moment on the lead lap, sitting at 13th. He just got a little bit out of line. As you see him right now, going to fall back into some lap down machines as he sits there. So struggling that 0-0 as he caught a right strategy. But yeah, we should go, I think, back up to 4th as it's still getting pretty racy.
Yeah, just a quick thing on Wygant. Remember, he had some damage as well that he was working on, and he put himself at the front on the stage reset, but I think just not quite the pace in that 0-0 tonight, but still putting in a good effort and trying to put together a good run. We see how many drivers in the playoffs have had a bad night so far. Apperson, Henderson, Flores, Kissenweather's a lap down, still with an opportunity to get back in, but Patrick Overstat, we saw he was quick early, but a lot of damage now. Yeah, I think he's doing a decent job so far, despite the struggles he's had. But yeah, up front, starting to heat up again with Height and Meredith. But I think Height has cleared Meredith now, and she will move into that 4th position and should scoot away as we see several drivers knocking down the fence. I think that was Sawyer that was actually kind of riding the fence down the back straightaway, so he might be in a bit of trouble back there as well in the 9th position. So very much heating up at the bottom of the top 10. And here's that battle. Yeah, he smacked the wall out of 2, which isn't too uncommon, but ooh, look at the wiggle by Lily Fraser there. But he stayed in the fence down the back straightaway. A very big time loss for the 97. And again in the fence here, I think he might have hurt that car.
Yeah, we'll have to see here. Obviously, it could just be mojo out of mojo. Once you hit the wall once, it becomes very enticing. You hit it again and again and again. It's like the Siren song. You don't want to end up following it, but it does swing a sweet tune when you're definitely in the bit of the struggle session. But right now, he'll have to just kind of calm down. He'll fall to the back of the line here. But if he can just, knowing he's on the lead lap, can't go any further back at the moment, only Wygant about half a second back and Swatsworth 2 seconds back. So as long as he kind of keeps his P's and Q's and kind of resets himself, it stinks you lost a couple spots, but it's not the end of the world. Get back on that horse and try again.
Also, we're coming now to about 57, 56 laps to go in this race, which is conveniently where the fuel mileage window pretty much is, 54, 56 laps. So we're about to be at the point where some of these drivers are going to come down. I don't think they want to pit right on when the window opens, to be frank with you, Kevin, but somebody could try it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see somebody like maybe Tucker Sawyer, who's struggling a lot right now, come down, throw the gamble, maybe get some tires and try and make advantage of them while you can. I don't know that we'll see the front runners do that, but the window is open. In a couple laps time, they can make it to the end from here. I would think they're probably going to put a little bit of a cushion on that for green-white checkers if needed, but granted, if the caution comes out, they're going to take a fresh set of tires anyway, so maybe not. We'll see, but they can make it from here.
It's a risk-reward situation because obviously everyone is going to pit. You could try to go for the sweet undercut, but there's no guarantees it would work when you pit one down. So I think it's just a bit too early. If we see a caution here come out, obviously everyone's
Oh,
coming in
everybody's gonna
anyway.
come in.
So
Yeah.
there's really, I just don't think it's really worth coming in this early. Obviously we get the 40, 45. We may see some drivers blink off early. Like we see maybe a Swatsworth, a Wygent, even a Tucker Sawyer currently sitting for glass cars on the lead lap. They may try it as just Hail Mary because again, what do you got to lose? You can't go any further down until there's another caution where Kissing Weather or Sharp can get on the lead lap. But towards the front, yeah, you're probably going to run as we're about 34 on the stint. I wouldn't be shocked if they just run it completely out here and then take a 30-lap stint to the end here. But obviously different starts for different folks, and some of the drivers, obviously like Kate, Height, for instance, being only 22 laps on her tires, she's got a bit of a more open playbook. Does she want to try to undercut and give herself more time on fresh tires, or overcut but give her maybe 10, 15, 20 laps on fresher tires to the end of the line, try to run down? But the risk is we're not really seeing that deficit work because right now she has that advantage along with some other drivers, and they are not really capitalizing on an over 12 lap distance between themselves and Hunter Peach, who's on 35 tires on the lap, and he hit the wall, and he's going to get past with the lead.
Oh yeah, huge loss of time there. A huge hit for Hunter Peach. He was fighting the handling for a while. We'd seen him really riding on that razor thin edge and a huge bit to the wall here. We'll see if we can't get a replay of it, but Roberts inherits the lead over Susie and Katie Height quickly in tow. I was about to say, Kevin, Katie cleared Zach Meredith and started gaining a lot on the leader, so she still is quick with those fresh tires, just got caught behind, and here's what happened to the race leader. Biggest moment of the day. You can see he's trying to catch it through there. He's very loose. I don't think he did smack the wall too hard, unless he got it out of turn 2. There's definitely damage. There's definitely damage, but he lost a ton of pace. He did a great job not to spin that car out, though.
Yeah, I'm looking back here again. He did not hit the wall in that lap. He just caught a slapper and did a great job to keep it, but that cost him so much time to try to hang on.
Plenty of damage cosmetically, though, on that right front. He definitely did hit it significantly, but again, like you said, great job not to lose that car. You saw how hard he was trying to save it, and let me tell you, Kevin, these cars are not easy to catch. These low-profile sidewalls, these big 18-inch rims, they are a driver's worst nightmare. I frankly hate it when these cars get sideways because they are so hard to catch. So even though a huge mistake there from Hunter Peach, tip of the hat for the car control to keep that thing underneath him. He's got to be careful not to get too excited, though, as he just knocked the wall down a little bit again. We'll see if there is any damage on that right front from the contact he made, but he's still in the fight and seems to already be catching back up to Susie and Roberts. But huge moment in this race.
If there's any damage, I think it may be from the previous incident he had, obviously the first incident he was involved in, because I'm looking back here multiple laps, he never really even touches that wall. He gets close, he fights it, but he never truly smacked it. So I'm thinking that maybe previous damage or a previous hit from something, and he just caught a slapper. Now, though, he's going to hit lap 41st on his tire advantage here, as he's going to have 40 laps on those tires. So now he went from being the hunter to the hunted, or vice versa, I should say. And now, what do you do now that you've had clean air for many laps, and now you got older tires, and now you're stuck behind two strong drivers in Roberts and Sosi? So the playbook has just has to change for Hunter Peach, and he's got to be wary and smart if he wants to get back to that lead.
Yeah, it's incredibly important that he doesn't let this compound into a larger problem. I think he needs to reset his brain, compartmentalize that error, and try and get back after it here. And a pit stop could help reset that brain. Sometimes you make a mistake, come down pit road, and then reset. But again, he's been doing the undercut all night, and it's worked extremely well. That 20 car is so good in clean air, but even though he's lost those positions, he's still hanging with the leaders, so he has a little bit of time to think about it. But again, I wouldn't be shocked if he comes down pit lane. Richard Odie down there on the apron, he's not really in contention, but he's just made his final pit stop in the 78, so he's back on the racetrack in the Martin Truex Jr. machine. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hunter Peach comes into pit soon. The window is well and truly open. He's made that long run work. He really likes that undercut, and we know how good his long run pace is. It's not like he can't build that gap up, but I wonder what's going through his mind, or if he's even thinking about that right now. He's probably just going to try to stick to his plan, because I think he has the pace to do it, but he doesn't seem quite as strong in dirty air as he did in clean.
Problem is, right now, if he came in, we're looking at well over 40, 45 laps. I don't think that's where he wants to be, so I don't think he's coming in the short term. He looks like he's still got the speed in it, so whatever happened was more mental than physical, and I think he trusts his skills to try to get back around here. If he gets held up a lot, though, by Sosi, he may say, all right, I have to come in. But right now, tires still, or at least in the window, once you get to 50, though, that's when the fall off really, truly hits. So he's got about 7, 8 more laps, I would say. And if he saves a little bit, maybe tries to extend that a bit, he could try to extend that window an extra lap or two. Oh. But yeah, as he almost taps that wall out of 2 here. So he is struggling a bit, but it's not game over. It's just get your mind reset and try to reopen the playbook here. But it's gone from a successful holiday to a Jet 2 holiday in a span of a couple laps.
Yeah, well, the other thing about this, too, is we're within 50 laps to go, or right around that window, too. So, yeah, we are within 50 laps to go. So if he does pit now, he can more than happily make that distance to the end without the tires having the cliff. So he's got all the world to play for here, but like you said, he's losing time behind Sosi, which is going to make me think that maybe he does want to pit, get that clear air, and build up that gap just like he did the last couple of pit cycles, rather. I think he's got plenty of pace in that car as long as he can keep it underneath him, and no matter what he does, I think he's going to be pretty strong. But if I were him, I would be thinking about pitting early. The window's in a ripe time for him to do it. The only thing he's got to worry about is getting trapped a lap down.
I think there's one thing as well to know as well. We do have to factor in a green white checkered. If you come in 50, 45 to go, I think you're going to really be at the limit of your tires. But if you can get it to the end of your stint here, like we see Bren Roberts currently on 37, Josh Sosi on 39, currently laps done, they'll get the 200 if they really stretch per se, and they would only have 20, 25. And we saw that 10, 15 lap difference on tires with 2 laps is not going to make up the difference here. So it's really with Peach, he doesn't have that ability to go much longer. Undercut probably is his best call, but he's going to put himself in a bad spot if we get a ring with checkered. But if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, any day be Christmas. It looks like Sosi, he's coming in now with 40 laps on his tires. So Peach not going to be able to do the undercut now, as we see both, 24 machine coming in this time by. He wants to be the one that controls his own destiny.
Yeah, he made the decision for Hunter Peach, and now what's going to be interesting is does Hunter Peach try and pound in a good lap and then try to overcut? I think he might have the pace to be able to do that on 1 lap pace, but he's going to have to be coming in this time and have a brilliant pit entry. This is going to be critical. He could stay out too. Here comes Bren Roberts, so now Peach is going to go long, I think. I think the call for Hunter Peach is go longer, run maybe 5 or 10 more laps, and then come into pit. It gives him enough time to have the fresh tires and maybe build that gap that he knows he can build with those clean tires. He knows that. He's pushing hard, but he's about to knock the car down the wall again. But money stop time for those 2 drivers that just came in. Their final pit stop of the day if it stays green to the end.
And we'll keep an eye on his times here. Obviously, they're going to be slower than the top 2, but if you can keep that pressure down, it may not be the end of the world. He's got clean track. Well, he's coming in now.
Coming in this time. So he thinks... Yeah, sorry. I think he thinks he can put in those good laps to try and put something together. He's going to have fresher tires if he can just get into the pit lane cleanly here and not speed. Again, hardest pit lane to get into. He gets down. It looks like everything's clean and tidy. Now, this is going to be fun to watch because while the pit stops are just now finishing for this hands the lead off to Caitlin Height, by the way, who still needs to make her pit stop. We see her now. But this is going to be super interesting because what can Susie do on that outlap and what can Bren Roberts do on that outlap to try and gain time? They should be able to be faster in theory than Hunter Peach, but Peach had a lot of pace underneath that car, and he pit early enough to be able to respond without the gaps getting too big. Tucker Sawyer also in the pit lane, worth noting as well in the number 97 machine. So it is popping off now for all these drivers. Caitlin Height, who pit early before, now going long in the 61 machine. So another interesting thing to add in here, she's doing the opposite of what she had been doing in the last couple of pit cycles.
You know, we talked about not making mistakes and not having errors. Well, Bren Roberts right now just made a crucial one as he's went in the pit lane for well over a minute. Now away he goes, 54 seconds. So he got busted for speeding on entry.
So heartbreaking.
Has basically shot himself in the foot. And it's day pretty much done for the win for Roberts, meaning it's pretty much now down to a 2 to 3 horse race for this lead and winning this race, unless something crazy happens for Roberts.
And here's Stussy, side by side with Shad Swatsworth right now, not for position, or at least de facto position, but where is the number 20? I think we saw him in the foreground. There he is right there. So he's headed off into turn 1. It's going to be between these two and maybe Caitlin Height to really have a say at this if it goes green to the end. So there is the 20. Wonder if we can get an angle where we see both of them in the same shot. It looks like a whole straightaway. So yeah, 2 seconds, almost the whole back straightaway between them. So Susie making the undercut work a treat. And the 20 car with a great pit stop, but 2 laps earlier, he's now got 2 lap fresher tires to try and chase down Susie. And I think he was already kind of better on his tires. But again, Susie in that clean air, that's lethal.
He's got a little lap traffic here that can help Peach a tad here. He's got Blowers, Sharp, and Wygant. And we see up front, I think Height just came in. Yep, she is in as well, so she will give up the lead. That means Meredith will now cycle out to the front. And we've seen cautions come out on fuel windows. We know Meredith, he's going to go another maybe 10 laps. We see Pacey Wygant come out another 9. There's an element of strategy here where some of these cars like Swatsworth, they can go longer here and try to open up the playbook and try to catch a caution at the right time. But
and Meredith,
not going to do that. That's going to open the door for Oberstadt, who's been kind of riding around the back. So I think he's one of those drivers that's going to say, you know what, I got nothing to lose, along with Wygant and Swatsworth. Let's just go long and hope something crazy happens.
Yeah, they have nothing to lose. But the other nice thing, though, is that even if they do get this advantage, that is going to help them for sure. But Height, Susie, and Peach are all 1 lap down. So whatever happens now, they're all trapped there together. So they'll all be on the waiver. And now the caution comes out right as we said that. So now we do have a caution with inside 30 laps to go, or pushing 30 laps to go, 34 laps to go. So we'll see what the caution's out for. But this is huge for Oberstadt, Wygant, and Swatsworth. They get a free pit stop. Meredith might have saved himself there and got the lead lap before as well. It depends on when he comes out of the pit lane. I think he will go a lap down, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so
he will. Yeah, he just got past. So he is going to go 1 down here, and he will actually lose a spot to even Sosi and Sharp.
Who this is really going to help out is Caitlin Height. Remember, she pit about 4 laps after everyone else. So she's got the freshest tires of these wave around cars, and the field just got neutralized. So she's going to be extremely quick compared to Susie and Peach. So, but again, Oberstadt, Wygant, and Swatsworth all get a free pit stop, and we saw what Wygant did with clean air earlier in this race. And Chad Swatsworth, kind of a dark horse, kind of the closer. I would not be surprised if he can get this thing fired up, but he's got quite a bit of damage on that car.
Yeah, I was going to point out he's been struggling with damage throughout this last run here. He's not got anything in that 6 unless he can find a good hammer to get that front end fixed. I think it's pretty much he's unlikely to really make something happen here. So as he comes in along with the rest of our leaders, Oberstadt and Wygant, they will come in. Some drivers this does hurt. Pelletier Sharp for actually Kissing whether will stay out, but obviously he's getting the wave around. But you see something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, well, Swatsworth has this free pit stop. I think he can actually just sit down here. There's only 3 cars on the lead lap. He could sit down here for a whole lap and fix the damage on that car and still come back out with fresh tires and a slightly fresher race car. So I do wonder if they're going to work on that car more under this opportunity, because the laps are not the longest behind the safety car, but he could clear out about 30 or 40 seconds of damage there and stay in the top 3. So
true.
We'll have to see.
But I wonder if it's even fixable, because he's been down pit lane a couple times here, especially under caution. So I do wonder if it's even fixable at this point. Obviously, we'll find out. Peach was able to get his whole front end fixed, and it looks pretty similar, if not worse. So
yeah, I would be shocked if they can't fix some of that car, and looks like he's going to sit there. So they are going to do exactly that. That's a huge break for them, and could really open up Swatsworth to have an opportunity. Maybe not for the win. I don't know if his car is race win worthy, but he could absolutely get the damage fixed and get himself back into a better position. Maybe get a top 5, top 10. And look, they did. They fixed it all back up. That front end is good as new, and he's going to pull out right alongside his teammate. So look at that. Chad Swatsworth still 3rd place with a long pit stop because of how he stayed out under the caution cycle, and now he's got a fresh race car to go fight this one out and the freshest tires of everybody.
So this is going to get interesting. So we obviously will see how the cycle's out. We'll do a catch-up in a second here. But we got Oberstadt, Wygant, Swatsworth's going to have fresh tires. You got Kissenweather, who's on 44-lap tires, currently sitting at 4th. He's actually just pitted, I believe, as he's coming out. So he will also get cycled out here and get moved to the back of the line. But so we got Sosi, Meredith, and Punter Peach, the next 3 here. Sosi on 9-lap old tires, Meredith on 2, and Peach on 7. So only Apperson really is going to have to come in and pit here that currently sits inside the top 10. Everyone else, though, is good to go to the finish.
Yeah, and Susie has the track position, but he's the big loser on all this, because remember, he was the first one to come down pit road, and now because of that, he has the oldest tires of everybody. He couldn't come back down to get the fresh tires because he had to do the wave around, which he's doing right now. So he will have the oldest tires versus Meredith and Peach behind him, who Peach just hit the wall trying to catch the field up here under caution. But Yeah, we're getting ready to go back green here. It's Overstat and Wygent. I think Wygent's got a good opportunity, but Overstat on that outside lane. Then the lapped car of Lily Pelletier Sharp in the 19. Shad Swatsworth with a fresh race car. He always seems to come alive during the chase and the playoffs. Haven't talked about him a ton tonight, but he's got that car fixed up, and he's in a great opportunity to make something of this. Green flag back out, 30 laps to go.
Drop back here. He doesn't want to be much of a pick here. Sharp, though, going to hang on, but going off into one. You're going to see side by side, but Obersat going to get clear. Wygent can't get his magic done like he did earlier. Now you're going to see some slight disadvantage here as Frazier is on, I believe, no, on older tires, so obviously disadvantage being cold and warm. But right now, Oberstat hanging on right now as he's going to try to make that 3 extra wide.
Yeah, and you saw them fan out as they were smacking the wall in the background, those fresh tires. I think that was Baxter that hit the fence. Everybody scattered and fanned out down the back straightaway. But in the first 10 cars, at least, everything lying astern right now. Everybody got their minds and their P's and Q's. But Steven Overstat in the number 3, you were talking about how this could play a treat for him as he blinks out a little bit here. Hopefully he'll come back. Yes, he does. Now leading this race with a handful of laps to go. He's not a playoffs driver, so even if he wins this race, it won't be able to punch his ticket anywhere. But to be able to win the Southern 500, regardless of when you're in the championship or not, would be huge.
I mean, a win's a win. Talk to Eric Jones in real life in this situation. Like, you'd want that trophy in the cabinet regardless if it gives you a playoff chance or even a championship chance. But still, it's pride winning a crown jewel of the NASCAR calendar and the HTL calendar as well. But you can see right in that second shot there, you got some hungry drivers. Meredith and Sosi, they're going to be fighting hard here into 3 as they are pulling out all stops here. And Meredith going to get clear of Sosi. So in that range of cars that didn't catch the caution the greatest, Meredith now leads that pack.
And Henderson getting out of the way there, trying to be a gracious back marker. Not going to be so gracious to Susie, but trying his best to stay out the way. It's hard to get out of the way here when you're a slower car because of the way all the pit cycling's shuffled out. It put Henderson in a really tough spot. He now gets out of the way and rolls over for some of these cars. But while this is all going on, Kevin, these 3 drivers with the freshest tires that stayed out, they have the clean air. They're scooting away. They've pulled 2 seconds on Meredith and company. And Susie and Peach, these guys are all now scrapping instead of for a race win for 5th place. They've got to get on with it. They were coming within 25 laps to go here very shortly, and these laps click off fast. Overstat and Wygent are fighting, but keep your eye on Shad Swatsworth with that fresh race car. He is right there in the hunt too, and he's making a move on Wygent.
Yeah, hunger drives drivers' hunger. As you see right now, they are getting the pull away, and there are no slouches. You got winners, championships in lower series, is a lot of strong in that top 3, so they are not going to roll over and die, and they're going to fight here. But right now, the 2 cars fighting, that's what Overstat wants to see, but maybe not so now, is now he's got a hungry 6th driver sitting right in his mirror as Wygent gets disposed of. Now that gap is well over half a second. But looking there, Meredith is almost on the back end of Pelletier Sharp. If the 17 can get there, it's going to open the door to a well of possibilities for Meredith. But if ifs and buts for Candy Nuts, every day will be Christmas, and he's got to get there first before he can do anything.
Well, also keep in mind, this man in 2nd place, Shad Swatsworth, the only driver in the field who has ever won this race before. He's looking to do it for the 2nd time. He's put himself in position. He really wasn't anywhere all day today. He's been nursing that damage, nursing that car. He's making a very good do of his opportunity, as is Steven Overstat and Pasty Wygent. Not to slouch either of them, but that 6 car looks bad fast, and Meredith is quick, but he's not as quick as Susie and Peach and Height, and right now they're still mired back fighting with each other, and we know how the tire offset has not been as big as we expected it to be. It seems like even more so as the night has gone on and more rubber's been laid into this racetrack. So the battle right now, these 3 out front are very much in contention to win this race. It is by no means going to be a mercy killing from Susie and Peach and Height if they can even get there. So this is de facto the battle for the race win and the Southern 500 as it stands. These guys are all just as much in contention.
Do a little time check here as they come across the line this time by fastest car on track. That circuit was Zachary Meredith, 29.732, with Stefan Oberstedt at 29.751. So it seems like ever-changing. Swatsworth was fastest 2 laps ago by 2/10, but now he is leveled back out and lost a tenth to Oberstedt. So they're all kind of yo-yoing between 6, 7, 8. Obviously, his tires get a bit worn. That will fall, but no one's really putting down enough heaters that you would expect to really close up.
And they don't want to because there's still 20 laps to go, which isn't a lot, but you can burn your stuff up quick. We saw that happen with Bren Roberts. Granted, he put himself in a good position until he had his incident. But He was in a decent position still, even though he burnt his tires up. But you don't want to have no tires at the end of this thing. And right now, with this being a track where you kind of have to race yourself, you can't really race each other too hard. You need to save your tires and stay close and be able to capitalize on someone else's mistakes, like what we saw with Swatsworth do to get around Wygant. But right now, 6/10 is the gap, and we cannot ignore that Steven Overstat is extending that gap in the number 3 car. He could be the ultimate spoiler here and win as a non-playoff driver, and it would only be fitting that the number 3 Bass Pro Shop throwback machine would win at Darlington. So keep an eye there.
I mean, to be fair, that Bass Pro 3 machine usually seems to be more strong at Richmond, but that's at least going
Well.
off the real-life calendar. We saw a little bit further back, though, Peach was able to get clear of Sosi, so Sosi really struggling with that undercut, and then Peach mowed down the wall, so he's starting to feel the desperation as well as he's trying to get caught up to this pack. So it is game on that. You're running out of time. This time by, we're going to hit 20... Well, still over, at least give or take a long distance here, but not
20 exactly, yeah.
20 exactly. So you can see it's click, 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 and that's not going to give you much time here. And if you look at some drivers like Wygant, buried behind one car, Meredith's got to get around a lap car, and Peltier Sharp, who is going to fight, because if the caution were to come out right now, she's back on the lead lap. She has a reason to fight here. She's just not going to roll over.
Yeah, without a doubt. And she's got pace, too. I mean, she is ahead of 17 of Meredith on pace at the moment. So she's not going to have any reason to pull over because she's sat safely in a spot where, like you said, she gets the lucky dog. If the caution were to come out, Elias Flores in the 99, the car next closest, you can see in the very background of that shot there in that Ascent Racing machine. So here comes Meredith trying to make a move, or rather, Peach making a move on Meredith. Did he just slide job it in turn 3 and 4? I don't know if he pulled that move off.
Hasn't cleared it yet.
Hasn't quite got it, but that was a really good effort. That 20 car is still strong, and now as he side-by-side into turn 1 and 2, he had to back out of it. So he had a good opportunity, but it's just so hard to pull that slide job in 3 and 4. It's usually better done in 1 and 2, but he had to take that opportunity and give it an attempt while he had. He still looks quick. He looks quicker than that 17, but again, that 17 has been so strong on defense all night long, and Steven Overstat is Zachary Meredith's biggest fan right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, right now the 17's running dead TMs with that 24, and that 24 seems to be the the 20
good run
is the
here.
quickest track on track right now, as he's putting down good laps here. He's going to have a good run. We'll see what he can do, but that 20 knows he's got probably the fastest car in that top 6 by lap time, as he's putting down pretty much a little bit faster times than that 3. But obviously buried in traffic, there's much you can do. Right now, they're going to try to make a move around Peltier
Good
Sharp.
opportunity here, but had to make the inside. Yeah, Sharp got slow. I like what Peach did. He tried to think if he could just hold the outside line, and Peach got up to speed. Didn't quite work out, but now he gets another solid run out of turn 3 and 4. This is kind of like the Alice in Wonderland rabbit touching the watch, though, because every lap that he doesn't make this move, there's one less to go after. And I know that sounds pretty straightforward, but look at how many laps have clicked off already. They are running out of time to get something done. 15 to go at the line this time by.
And the problem is, even then, they still got to get on Wygant and Swatsworth, and they're running similar times. So even if you say, all right, Meredith, lead me to the promised land, there's not enough he can do right now. He's now got to find a way around the 00, and being 2 cars deep makes your moves harder. And, well, 20's going to get a little loose off the corner ends, and he's going to lose all the time he just gained. Meanwhile, Meredith is going to try to make the move on the 00.
And loses a spot to Susie in the meantime, so now he's the big loser and might lose another one to Caitlin Height. That's pretty much curtains for Hunter Peach, I'm afraid. It started with Pacey Wygant smacking the wall there. Obviously, Meredith had to react. I think Peach did the same thing, but like we saw earlier, right at the very start of the race, where cracking the throttle in 3 and 4 gets that car sideways. He already had a big moment in 3 and 4 earlier that lost him the lead. He had another big one there. Again, a great job to keep the car underneath him, but that's going to really hurt his conquest in trying to win this race. Slow car number 33 of Dale Markowski out of the way, not going to be in the way of these drivers. Good on him for getting out of the way and off the racetrack. He is still having a decent race, it must be stated, though. He's only in 14th place, so he's still putting in a good effort despite moving out of the way and going a lap down there. But here's Meredith on Wygant again now. And does get to the inside, pushes that 00 up the track, side by side. They're going to be even. This should be advantage for the 17 to do a slide job down into turn 1 and 2. Watch it right here. He's going to go in deep on the bottom and try and clear, but Wygant packs it in on the outside. They make contact as they head through turns 1 and 2 and continue to be neck and neck. This is opening the door for Susie now, and this is exactly what Swatsworth wants to see, because now he has no more pressure. They're still side by side, and Meredith trying to make it work on the bottom.
Double-edged sword right now if you're Overstat and Swats, if you want to see this because you get to pull away. But at the same point, though, if they're on this knife's edge, what stops them from falling off it? as they're going to see now the 24 going to try to thread the needle here. Meredith going to be joining the Biggest Loser Club here. Is now Peach is going to try to go on that high side and will get it done. So Meredith going to end up losing 4 spots in the span of 2 corners, but this is the big sign, is now it's a second gap to Swatsworth and over 2 seconds to our race leader, Stefan Oberstadt.
And that was huge for Josh Susi. He makes up a couple of spots and now has the opportunity to try and go after Pacey Wygen himself. And it must be said, Pacey, for the lack of pace he has in that car, is doing a fantastic job of hanging on to the podium places right now. He's not done anything wrong. He's put that car where he's needed to, and he's been able to fend off the fastest cars all night long. But as you said, as this happens, ticking away, up the road 1 second is Chad Swatsworth, and another second is Steven Overstat, and they're having plenty of clean air. And here comes Peach to the inside of Susi now, because Susi just made a mistake out of turn number 2. Put the 20 car back where it belongs, in front of that 24.
Well, the thing that kind of stinks right now, if you're the race leader, you're doing the great job, you're doing everything, but we're focusing on right now this big battle for the 3rd spot. He's doing everything he can right now. He's playing the cards right.
Got him this time. He's going to put the slider up there, and he does. He just like a glove makes that move work. A great move by Hunter Peach, and now he can put his head down. Look at the gap he's already opening up to the 00, but he smacks the wall there. He's going to open the door for Pacey. He shouldn't have done that, but I don't think Pacey's going to take the attack. I think he's going to tuck right back in, but that's going to take the air off the spoiler of the 20, but it looks like they're going to sort it out, and now Susi going to go after Wygen. Peach going to go after Swatsworth. He's got 10 laps now, 9 laps to do it. This is an insane end to the Southern 500, Kevin.
It's like watching crabs in a bucket right now. They're tearing each other down, and that gap continues to grow. But now that Peach has maybe some distance, some breathing room, if he wants to show why he was one of the strongest cars in this race, he's got 10 laps, put down some absolute heaters. But the problem is, it's not like he has to just catch the leader. He has to catch 6, pass the 6, and then catch the 3.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easier said than done in 9 laps when this track is already hard enough to pass in. Wygen still holding down Susi at the moment for 4th as he's making that car extra wide.
Can Steven Overstat in the number 3. Oh, contact there between Wygen and Susi. They stuff each other in the fence. Susi again trying to make that inside line work. Couldn't do it now. He's going to throttle up out of turn 2. They make contact again. This opens the door now for Caitlin Height. She'll split them both 3 wide and go to the inside in turn 3 and 4. Susi, the big loser again. The desperation starting to stink a little bit amongst these drivers as they try and get around Pacey Wygen and the chivalry out the window. But Caitlin Height now moves up into 4th place. And as I was going to say, could Steven Overstat in the number 3 Chevrolet pull off the upset and stun everybody here in Darlington?
So this has got to be careful. He only has 4 points above the line coming to the playoffs tonight. Obviously, some other drivers having some problems. He won't be that bad. But looking at Hunter Peach, for instance, Chad Swatsworth, 2 drivers that are below the line coming in tonight, they're ahead of him. So if he keeps bleeding spots, he's just going to make his life worse and more miserable.
Here's Meredith on the inside, the 00 putting himself right where he needs to be. He's been bruised and bullied by all of these faster cars, but he continues to hold strong inside the top 5, who, by the way, he came into this one 8 points above the cut line. He would love to put a bit of a cushion between him as well, Pacey Wygen and that 00 machine, and the 17 of Zachary Meredith, good by 11 on the way in here. So they're all fighting for the same bit of real estate. I think Susi might finally clear with a huge run, and he does. But here comes the 00. Oh my god, he bounced off the wall and cuts the undercut. And now they're side by side enduring each other down the front straightaway with 5 laps to go.
I wouldn't worry now. We're focusing on this, but Hunter Peach just got in a second. He got around Sad Swatsworth, and he is flying like a rocket. 32.6 for him last time by, but matching current race leader Stefan Oberstat's pace. So he is flying. Does he have anything left in the tank to close up that 1.2 seconds? He is trying his best to close that gap down.
Yeah, and he's doing it on older tires. That's fantastic that he was able to get that gap. It was 2 seconds 4 laps ago. He will get there at this pace. It's just if he's going to be able to make anything happen, he's got to find a little bit more on that number 20 machine, and the tires are probably going to start to be screaming now. Steven Overstat is only 3.5 laps from the promised land and a win in the HTL Crown Jewel at Darlington. This is going to be a grandstand finish that you're going to be talking about for quite a long time if it stays green. Overstat trying to play spoiler. Peach, the dominant car of the day, trying to take what he would say is rightfully his. Meanwhile, in the background, Swatsworth and Height going to fight for 3rd, although there's a bit of a distance between them. But this time by, Peach did not take as much out as he did of Overstat the last couple laps.
They're pretty much running dead even, 30.165 to 32.56. It's not enough to really make that difference as he was really catching. As now Swatsworth is beginning to fall into the clutches of Height in third. See if he can even hang on to a podium spot, as that car seems to really, even if he's fixed it up, it's either he's not feeling in tune with it or something else is happening. As we hit 2 to go, Overstat just needs to keep his eyes out the glass, but right there, 2/10 cut down from Hunter Peach.
Remember, if the caution comes out before they make it back to the line, we'll have to do HTL overtime, but it looks like so far, so good. Half a lap to go to the white flag for Steven Overstat, who is losing a lot of time, but not enough to matter right now to Hunter Peach. He could pull off the upset on an incredible call to stay out and catch a caution. He caught it. White flag is out now. 1 to go, sponsored by Southern Cleaning Company, as we go for another 1.3 miles around this track. It's the legendary 3 and the equally legendary 20, but right now it's all Steven Overstat as we head down the back straightaway for the final time.
Old gen versus new gen in the paint schemes. 20 just hit the wall off of 2. Same thing with Spotsworth.
Yeah.
There's a couple cars mowing it down, but you can see right now the 3 is seeing the promised land as he comes through 4.
What an incredible turn of events for this team. The number 3 Chevrolet, Steven Overstat, is going to win the Southern 500 here in an incredible turn of events and a great strategy play. He shocks the nation.
Yeah, you can see it is probably all smiles. Again, no playoff points, no playoff win, but it still doesn't matter. A trophy is a trophy, and we'll see how much he burns it down here as he is probably all smiles under that helmet.
That is a fantastic upset. Nobody had him clocked to win this race. Well, not because he wasn't quick, but just because he was such a dark horse the whole race. He quietly put himself in position, caught a lucky break on the strategy, and ended up making the absolute most of it. And Steven Overstat. We all thought it would be Patrick at the start of this race where that 88 car was running, but it's his Steven who brings it home and burns it down in a beautiful race car at a beautiful racetrack. What could be more fitting than the 3 at Darlington?
Yeah, no, that is a pretty sight indeed. Because again, no one really had him on the bingo card. We went over the notes in the pre-race. We looked at a lot of different drivers. I don't think many of us had that 3 in mindset to take home the victory, but he's done it. He's, it's all smiles, and you can see, I think he's going to take a while to get him off the track here, as he's going to enjoy every moment of this victory.
Yeah, this is such a huge race that everybody circles at the start of the year, just like they do in the real life Cup Series. This is a huge event for HTL, and of course, with everything that's gone on, this being the first race of the playoffs, it doesn't matter as much for Steven Overstat, but that Caudal chassis, only short tracks machine, very much earning the right to burn it down here in Darlington. What an incredible turn of events, Kevin. What a great race we had here tonight.
And one more fun fact as well, real fast, on our leader. It looks like he was in talks. I'm hearing from the rumor mill. He was thinking about not racing this race. Maybe give that seat up tonight, not feeling confident in this car and this abilities. Well, maybe it's a good idea he hung on to that seat because he's taken victory. But to answer your question, it's been a great race. Highs, lows, we've seen different avenues change out. And like it being a slow burn indeed, we saw a couple drivers really come to this front and play that long con to a T, including Overstat and even Lily Frazier, who currently took home a top 10. Even Slayer, who sits in 11th, another driver that really took advantage of the long nature of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if we can grab interviews with our top 3. In fact, I think I have caught up here with Caitlin Height, who ended up, by the way, in the background, finishing in 3rd place. So, Katie, this is Christina in the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Oh my god, hi Chrissy. Hi, hello.
Well, it started from 13th place for you. You played a bunch of strategies. Some of it worked out when you pit early, and then the caution came out, and then you pit late, and that worked out for you too. Had a lot of pace at the end, but not quite enough to catch the leaders, but good enough for a podium. Walk us through that hectic final couple of stints.
Yeah, Nar, I didn't really have much of the pace tonight like Peach did or Susie. But we were gearing up with like other people having penalties and such. We were gearing up for like a 1-2-3 finish out there between like the 3 of us. Granted, I'd probably still be like 4 seconds behind everybody else, but yeah, I just stuck around, did strategy, had a little oopsie daisy with Ross Baxter earlier in the race, which sorry to Ross, it was just one of them deals out there, but yeah, it was just Darlington isn't my strongest track, but to grab 3rd, like hell yeah.
Yeah, we watched it unfold out in front of you. They're fighting amongst each other in front. the seas kind of parted with about 5 laps to go. They were fighting each other so hard. You squeaked through the middle and ended up putting yourself in that podium position. Obviously not in the playoffs this year around, but that's so much pressure off. It had to be fun out there in those closing stages.
I think it was more just absolutely nerve-wracking than actually fun there because you don't want to touch any of the playoff drivers. You don't want to like get them mad or anything, but when holes open, just gotta jump right in there and fill them. And luckily for me, I ended up here and up in the booth right now.
Absolutely. It was a great effort from you. And on a night that seemed to favor the non playoff drivers, two or three of them on the podium, you're in third place. A great effort from you and a great recovery from those issues earlier, like you mentioned with Baxter getting yourself back in position to grab a podium. So at this point, if there's anybody you want to say congrats to and shout out, now's the time to do it. Otherwise, excellent effort on a podium finish here in the Crown Jewel.
Yeah, a big shout out to HTL and Blake and all the other admins who put this together each week. Shout out to all of you up in the booth for sitting down on your Monday evenings to broadcast everything and commentate our chicanery out here, and all the fans watching back in Twitch land. Also to Callie for letting me sit in for her tonight in the 87, but probably looked like the 61. But yeah, and then big shout out. I'm not sure if Rivers is watching, but they're one of my biggest fans out here that will occasionally come in and watch. Just big shout out to them.
All right, well, there you have it. Caitlin Height, a multiple time race winner in the HTL Cup Series, getting another podium to add to her historic record tonight and in spectacular fashion. So, congrats, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Moving on a little bit further down here, I believe, Kevin, have you caught up with our second place finisher of Hunter Peach?
I believe we have, as I think we have just caught up with them now. So, Hunter Peach, can you hear us?
I got you.
Alrighty, obviously you had a very good race there in that number 20 highs and lows, but I guess we'll have to start at the beginning, where it looks like, obviously you got in a little bit of incident with Dale Markowski, so kind of take us to that opening incident, and how bad was the damage you suffered from that car, because once it got fixed, it seemed like it was a rocket ship.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I love Darlington. It's one of my favorite tracks, and just always a thrill to drive it. It started off pretty decent, qualified ninth, seventh, I think. Not a very great start, but obviously, had a long run pace, and we were kind of just riding, slowly picking them off, and the car was coming to me, and then I don't know if Dale tried to just let me go or what happened, if he overshot or if I came down, then obviously day was over with 2 minutes of damage, and fixed it, took no tires, and just put our head down and just drove to the field. I mean, slowly kind of worked on the car and was really waiting for the sun to go down, and car just came alive.
Yeah, they definitely did, and we saw that as you pulled out and led over 92 laps. We cut through, you're leading, win stage 2, and you're cutting, and then we saw you hit that wall coming out of 4, maybe even hit it. What caused you to lose so much speed and end up getting passed by Roberts and Sosi there?
Yeah, that was someone, and obviously trying to adjust the car, and I mean, every time I got to end the run, it just seemed like it fell off. I mean, it was good. I really didn't want to touch it, but I knew it was missing something. I couldn't really figure it out. Obviously left it how it was, and kind of just hit the seam wrong and lost the rear. So at least it's able to lock it down and recuperate and just get back with them and keep ourselves in position.
Mm-hmm. And we see the race continue on. You obviously get that late caution. You're charging, and we see you battling Sosi. We see you battling Wygen, and it seemed like that thing was kind of good. But I do kind of ponder that thought: was a tire advantage really play a factor here, or was it seemed like you were just kind of you're all once it was like 10 or 15 laps within a range? It seemed like you really kind of just plateaued out. So I guess my question really comes down to when you're getting caught up and trying to catch Oberstedt. It seems like you're kind of just in trading laps here. So was that 10 lap difference on tires really playing a factor there and not catching Oberstedt near the end?
I don't think it did. I think we honestly had a car to win, and it's a little frustrating. If not, top three can't really be mad about it. At the end of the day, we got points. We're able to regroup and get stage one and win stage two. So how the day started off, you can't really be mad about it. But overall, was given a good setup and just best Darlington car I had in a long time. Being so close with this race every year, it's just top threes, just so close to that win. It's just always come up short. And but no, I think we had a car to win for sure. But it was mainly just being stuck in traffic. Just guy that got stuck behind Meredith and Shad there, and just never really got clean air. And as soon as I got clean air, I was able to kind of just go up the boards and able to pass Sosi and everything like that. And it's ran out a little bit too late and just used the right front up too much.
Obviously, this is coming as kind of a fill in here. If there's anything you want to add about playoffs and your thoughts going into the next couple rounds, that's fine. But also, does anyone want to thank as well any sponsors, anything you want to throw out there? I'll give you the floor now. So, floor is yours.
Obviously, kind of scared of the playoffs. I mean, not a great plate racer and don't really like road racing. So, I was hoping to kind of win this race and just don't worry about it. But, we're going to have to go in there, put our heads down, and survive the Glen and Dega, which who knows what's going to happen there. Probably get wrecked out. Indy and Kansas feel pretty good at. Obviously, my team at NFG always does a fantastic job every week, giving me a shot to win. Bringing great setups over at Nitro Racing, and props to Sosi and Smil. They've been such a big help to me on all of this, and got to shout out God for being there for me and just overall just allow me to do this with y'all. And NJB Designs would have been on the car today, but Trading Paints was down, so had to run this car from last year. And D&M Pilot Services, DJ, Blake for allowing me to run, and obviously y'all for putting on the broadcast for every time. You do a fantastic job, and obviously shout out my girl.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Hunter. Obviously, we'll see how the next 2 rounds go, and obviously, hopefully, they go positively for you. But take care. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Appreciate y'all as well.
And that was our second place finisher, Hunter Peach. And I think Christina is currently in victory lane and is ready to talk to our winner.
Yeah, I'm here in victory lane with Steven Overstad, who pulled the wool over everybody's eyes, caught a great strategy, and never looked back. Steven, congratulations. You just won the Southern 500.
Thank you. Yeah, a little luck never hurt anybody, but we'll take it. We'll take it. I'm
Yeah,
pretty fat.
absolutely. Yeah. It was a great restart as well for you to get away, get the clean air. Did you get a little nervous once Peach got to your back, or did you think that you had enough of a gap at that point that you pretty much had the thing wrapped up when they were fighting behind you?
Well, to be honest, I was just gonna just let it rip, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not in the playoffs. I'm in the owners' playoffs, which who really cares about as much? So I was just like, just let it rip and try not to screw up and go from there. But yeah, it was pretty good. But for the most part, I mean, I'm just glad it's over. I mean, those laps couldn't count down quick enough, and I'm primarily a short track person racing on here, so 20 laps typically goes by pretty fast. It felt like those last couple took forever, and took a couple of years off my life for sure.
Well, I gotta say this track is kind of like a hybrid between a speedway and a short track. It makes sense that you would be so strong here once you had that clean air, but um, yeah, the laps must have felt like forever. But what was the feeling like to cross the line and know that you had taken the win and had stolen this thing?
It's about time. I mean, I feel like I'm not awful, but the results for the second half of the season have not shown that at all. Just some terrible luck and everything. So, and I get to watch my brother win all the time. So
Yeah.
I was getting pretty sick of that, to be honest. Watching, Brand do really well and Cody do really well and Dale's done really well, minus some bad luck. So watching everybody running, especially now that we're open set, basically running the same stuff, do really well. After a while, it gets frustrating. It's like, yeah, cool. My team cars are running well. That's great and everything, but I'm a competitive guy and I want to get up there myself. So and
Well,
talk to you guys more occasionally than once every couple of years.
yeah, absolutely. And of course, Crown Jewel really helps ease the nerves of that, I'm sure. And the newspapers are all going to say Overstat, but with Steven instead of Patrick this time. So I bet that feels great. Before we let you shout out everybody, I do want to ask you, where does this win rank in your esports career, your iRacing career? How does the Southern 500 and HTL rank up with that?
I mean, it's got to be the top. I mean, in terms of wins and a couple short track ones in my own league are pretty good from sentimental standpoint, but from a competition standpoint, in a league like HTL where you've got really really fast people who know what they're doing and spend a lot of time on running races and everything, it means a lot. I don't get to practice as much and still try to get out there and knock it around with the young folk. Being an elderly statesman myself, so yeah, it's got to be number one, no doubt about it.
Well, a huge win for you. Congratulations for sure. Again, if there's anybody you want to shout out, I know you have a whole laundry list of people to shout out, so go ahead. And otherwise, congratulations. Fantastic race win.
Well, first and foremost, got to shout out, you know, Carmen. We're thinking about you. You know, you come out and do this stuff every week, despite everything that you got going on. So, I didn't run the purple car tonight because I wanted to give the gold car a run because it lasted about 10 laps last week. But got the ribbon on the front. We're thinking about you. Keep fighting, doing your thing. So that most importantly, behind that, Caudal Chassis, they help me on the short track side. They're on the hood. Only short tracks, my short track league, all my buddies in CBR, nitro race sets for open set and cup. We would be floundering without them. So shout out to all the people in the Wednesday league that I ran a little bit for helping out there. David Smeal for painting such a pretty looking car. It's nice to not completely drag the number 3 in the dirt like I did most of the season. But yeah, that should be about it. PVTR, one of my short track sponsors. It's not on the car, but yeah, just like I said, I'm happy it's over. I'm gonna finish, go have some alcoholic beverages. I know we got to keep the stream PG, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And like I said, Carmen, we're thinking about you. We appreciate you coming out every week and doing all this, and stepping in when your voice needs to be heard in terms of the race quality and all that. When we definitely needed it. So we appreciate you very, very much. And I hope that doesn't go unnoticed and you don't feel that.
Couldn't agree more with you, Stephen. Fantastic job to get home with a victory at Darlington. A huge win for you. And yeah, you've earned more than a couple of alcoholic beverages. So we'll let you go celebrate. And we hope you have a great night. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
So there you could hear the elation, Kevin. Some of the frustrations of the drivers that didn't quite get there, but you heard what it means to win the crown jewel. You heard what it means to win the HTL Southern 500. And, the owners' playoffs don't matter as much, but he is in the owners' playoffs, and I believe he just punched his ticket in. So while the drivers' points, nobody won in there and won their way into the next round, they sure did get the owners' points righted for that number 3 car. So excellent bit there. Any closing thoughts before we go through the final finishing order and wrap things up?
I think personally, I think this track's always a fun track to watch, provides some great racing, and obviously it means a lot to find victory around these. A win's important regardless, but finding victory around this track is definitely one of those a lot of drivers have circled when you're in a very competitive league like this. Hat tip to Oberstadt again. Stefan Oberstadt finally getting that ticket punched and metaphorically winning this race, and also maybe helping himself in the owner standings as well.
Yeah, huge win for that. And of course, it always is great to see the 3 car in victory lane, and great to see the guys who don't always take a lot of time in the spotlight be able to pull off a crown jewel win. It makes you think of guys like Jamie McMurray winning the Brickyard, or Trevor Bain winning the Daytona 500. You love a good underdog story, and Darlington really seems to smile on those drivers. Again, Eric Jones, you mentioned earlier, and Regan Smith. Lots of upsets always on the South Carolina racetrack. We'll see if we can pull up the final results for you very quickly. Of course, these will be all unofficial and subject to review, but it's pretty safe to say at least the top few drivers should be pretty safely where they are. Steven Overstat, we just talked to him. He wins the crown jewel here tonight at Darlington. Hunter Peach, the highest finishing playoff driver, just a bit shy, but still a great effort in the number 20. Caitlin Hyde, another non-playoff driver, we talked to her. She was very excited to pull off a podium despite maybe not quite having the pace of some of the drivers around her. Shad Swatsworth with that damage repair, also a huge break. We know he always tends to come alive during the playoffs. He had a great final stint, puts that car in 4th place. Great for his playoff hopes. Josh Susi, maybe a little impatient at the end, but for good reason. The fastest car of the day in the first half, once again, just comes up a bit short, Kevin, just outside the top 5.
Looking further down, we see Meredith, Pacey Wygant, Bailey Thompson, Eli Sassick, and Lily Frazier rounding out, like it was kind of alluding a little bit earlier. Frazier, again, good drive for her. Long even Tucker Slayer in 11th has had good recovery drives, even with Mark Kisenweather in 12th.
Mhm.
As for we see we look at the 24 machine, obviously Sosi could wish for a little bit better, obviously going to bleed a couple points, especially in that late scrapping. Then we got Lily Pelletier Sharp, Elias Flores, Bren Roberts, Blake Henderson, Brady Smith, Bobby Blowers, Dale Markowski, and Zap Everson rounding out the top 20. And Bobby Blowers, another, actually, I should say Bren Roberts, looking as another driver that's wondering what could have been if he didn't get caught speeding down pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. But still some strong results for drivers like Henderson, who really were kind of quiet all day. We saw, of course, Thompson get inside the top 10 as well with that bold strategy call. Elias Flores, we didn't talk about him much either, putting the car in 14th. Not great days, but still strong runs from them. Again, Bren Roberts, you said, probably wondering what could have been. But Apperson in 20th, a pretty mediocre day for the number 4 car. Didn't talk about him much, but still fared better than some of the other drivers around him. In the points, you've got Angel Santiago in 21st. His day was kind of over before it even began, unfortunately. Patrick Overstat, very quick in the first stint of tonight's race, but after some damage, he was not able to do it, but it was his brother that found victory lane tonight. Josh Arnold seemed like it was on a recovery drive, but it wasn't meant to be. Just a couple too many blows to the number 12 machine. Richard Odie, 24th. Not a bad run for that team, honestly, and the 78 was involved in some incidents earlier and brought it back. Olivia Pereira in 25th. Ross Baxter had a day to forget, but still rounds out a top 30. Dustin Hall really had a day to forget. Very disappointing for him to have a couple of mistakes to put him behind the foot with Gary Donaldson in company. Misery loves company down there for that team for Tombstone. Unfortunate for them. John Matthews in 29th and David Smeal Jr. in 30th. That rounds out the top 30 with Byron Jones, James Wright, and then some of the non-finishers of Jason Scott, Cody Pennell, a chaser who's going to have a lot of work to do moving into next week, and then Blake Galloway in the number 35th position. So that pretty much wraps it up here for the Darlington Raceway and the HTL Southern 500. What a great race. What a great finish. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for bearing with us on such a last second shift around. Again, Carmen, we love you very much, and we hope you continue to fight and feel better. We should be back soon next week with HTL coverage of the playoffs moving in forward. But for now, from Kevin Young and Christian Delgado, who is pushing the buttons, I'm Christina Ryan. Thank you guys so much. Have a safe week, and we'll see you next time on ABN.